Greetings, Lore Masters. Tonight our chronicle covers the very first breaths of a new destiny, deep in the icy grip of Skyrim. We trace the first fumbling steps of a legend, not as a hero, but as a prisoner, bound and anonymous, rattling towards a headsman's block. We watch as the world ends just so it can begin again. Let's be honest, you probably wouldn't survive that execution block without a literal divine intervention from the god of time dragons, who also happens to be trying to eat the world. Skyrim is complicated, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's always appreciated. And for our little community ritual, please feel free to post your location and your local time in the comments. It's always fascinating to see where everyone is drifting off from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The air is bitter. It doesn't just bite at the skin, it crawls into the lungs, a damp pine-scented chill that promises snow. The world, for the Dragonborn, is the rumble of rough-hewn wheels over a frost-bitten road and the creak of the wooden cage they share with others. They are a nobody, a blank slate. Caught on the border, they were swept up in an imperial ambush, and now their name isn't even on the list. They are just anonymous cargo, destined for the block. Around them, the others talk. Roloff, a Stormcloak soldier, looks at his gagged Jarl, Ulfric Stormcloak, with a mixture of reverence and despair. And then there is Lokir, the horse thief from Rorikstead, who embodies the panic they all feel. Lokir, who decides that now, surrounded by 24 heavily armed Imperial Legionnaires, is the perfect time to make a break for it. His optimism is, shall we say, poorly timed. His sprint toward freedom is cut short by a single arrow, a grim appetizer for the main course. The cart rumbles into the fortress town of Helgen. It is all grey stone, sharp angles and grim-faced soldiers. General Tullius is there, the military governor of Skyrim, exchanging terse words with a tall golden-skinned elf. This is Elenwen, the first emissary of the Thalmor, a reminder of why this is all happening. The core in-game fact is unavoidable. Skyrim is tearing itself apart over the White Gold Concordat, the peace treaty that ended the Great War by, among other things, banning the worship of Talos. The Stormcloaks, led by Ulfric, rejected this. The Empire, trying to hold the broken pieces of a continent together, is forced to enforce the Elves' decree, and the Dragonborn is caught, quite literally, in the middle of this divine custody battle. One by one, they are called to the block. The Dragonborn's name is not on the list, but Captain Hadvar, pragmatic and weary, shrugs it off. Forget the list. He goes to the block. There is no appeal. The priestess of Archery begins her rites, only to be cut off by an impatient Stormcloak. The first head rolls. The sound is wet, a heavy thud as the basket receives its offering. The crowd gasps. And the Dragonborn is next. They are forced to their knees. The world narrows to the rough, blood-stained texture of the wooden block, the smell of sawdust and copper. The headsman, a large Imperial in heavy armour, raises his massive axe. This is the end. And then, a sound. It is not a sound that the ears merely hear. It is a sound the bones feel. A deep, guttural, reality-tearing roar that shakes the stones of Helgen itself. The headsman pauses, confused. What was that? The sky answers. A shadow blots out the sun, and with an impact that throws men like dolls, a dragon lands on the fortress tower. But it is not a dragon. It is the dragon. This is Alduin, the World Eater, the firstborn of Akatosh. He is black, scaled like obsidian, and radiates an ancient malice. He leans down, looks directly at the Dragonborn, or perhaps at Ulfric, the debate still rages, and unleashes the unrelenting force. The shout doesn't just push the air, it weaponizes it, turning the very sky into a battering ram. The world dissolves into fire, panic, and stone. This is where the fan community has long debated the why. Why did Alduin attack Helgen at that precise, impossible-to-replicate moment? Was it random chance? Was he drawn to the presence of Ulfric Stormcloak, a man who can also shout? Or was it, as the running theory suggests, that the appearance of the last Dragonborn, as the prophecies call them, at the exact moment of execution created a cosmic event that drew the World Eater from his time wound? He wasn't saving the Dragonborn. He was answering an alarm bell for reality itself, drawn to the only soul in existence that could truly challenge him. In the chaos, the Dragonborn, still half-dressed and probably smelling like burnt wood and panic, scrambles to their feet. Ralof, the Stormcloak, calls to them. Hadvar, the Imperial Captain, does the same. This is the first real choice. Does the Dragonborn follow the rebels, or the soldiers who just moments ago were about to separate their head from their neck? It barely matters. Both paths lead down into the darkness beneath the keep. The stone is cold, the air thick with dust. Here, the Dragonborn finds their first weapon, a rusty iron sword perhaps, and their first set of armour, stripped from a fallen legionnaire or a dead Stormcloak. They are no longer a prisoner, they are a survivor. The tunnels are a claustrophobic nightmare. They are dark, damp, and full of the skittering sounds of frostbite spiders, their multiple blue eyes glowing in the dark, their chitinous legs clicking on the stone. These creatures are the stuff of arachnophobic nightmares, dripping venom and trapping their prey in thick, sticky webs. The Dragonborn, clumsy and weak, hacks and slashes, their heart pounding. They are not a hero. They are prey that has learned to bite back. After the spiders, there is the bear, a huge, sleeping creature that Hadvar or Ralof warns them to sneak past. The Dragonborn, perhaps feeling a small, suicidal spark of bravado, might try to fight it. It usually ends poorly. More often, they simply hug the wall, the sound of their own breathing deafening, as they slip past the massive slumbering beast. And then, light. It's not the bright, open light of the sky, but the faint green-blue glow of an underground cavern. And in the centre of a shallow pool of water stand 3 monoliths. Hadvar or Ralof gestures to them. The Guardian Stones? We should choose one. This is the first true step to power. These 3 stones, the mage, the thief, and the warrior, are a core mechanic in Tamriel. They are the birth signs of Skyrim. The choice is simple on its surface. The mage stone makes all magic skills improve 20% faster. The thief stone governs stealth skills. The warrior, all combat skills. The Dragonborn, still shaking, water dripping from their stolen armour, approaches them. The stone hums, a low-frequency vibration that sings in the blood. What many new arrivals overlook is the deep lore associated with these found in in-game books like the Firmament. The constellations are not just abstract buffs, they are cosmic forces. The Guardians, warrior, mage, and thief are the parents of the other, more specialised signs. By choosing one, the Dragonborn isn't just getting a 20% experience boost, they are aligning their very soul with a primary aspect of the Mundus. It is a far heavier choice than just, I like swords. The Dragonborn reaches out a hand. Let's say they touch the warrior. The stone flares with a dull red light. A pulse of energy flows into them, settling a strange warmth in their chest. It is a feeling of potential, a promise. It is the universe acknowledging them for the first time, not as a prisoner but as a participant. Of course, this is Skyrim. The Dragonborn can just come back later and swap it. Their destiny is apparently flexible, and has all the commitment of a free trial subscription. But for now, the choice is made. They leave the cave, emerging onto a mountainside. The light is blinding. The air is so fresh it hurts. Below them, Helgen is a pillar of black smoke. Alduin is a dark shape circling before vanishing into the clouds. The world is quiet. The path ahead leads down towards a small village nestled in the woods, Riverwood. The journey has begun. The Dragonborn follows their chosen companion, Hadvar the Imperial or Ralof the Stormcloak, down the winding dirt path. The smoke from Helgen is a dark, greasy smudge against the afternoon sky behind them, but the air ahead smells of damp earth and the sharp, clean scent of the White River. It is unnervingly peaceful. The trauma of the execution and the dragon's arrival settles into a cold knot in their stomach, a surreal memory that feels more like a terrible Mead dream than a real event. Their guide chatters, offering context about the war, about Ulfric, about the dragon. The Dragonborn just nods, their eyes scanning the trees, half expecting another scaled monstrosity to drop from the sky. They pass beneath the shadows of ancient pines, the river gurgling happily to their left. It's all terribly idyllic, a postcard from a land that, just an hour ago, proved it was anything but. They are, for all intents and purposes, a refugee. They have no money, no home, and the clothes on their back are either prison rags or armour stripped from a corpse. They are the definition of level 1. The path opens up and they see it. Riverwood. It's less a village and more a suggestion. A handful of wooden houses huddled around a large sawmill, which seems to be the town's entire reason for existing. A bridge crosses the river, and the whole place is nestled in a cosy forested valley. It feels safe. If they followed Hadvar, they are taken to the house of Alvor, the blacksmith. If they followed Ralof, they are taken to his sister, Gerda, who runs the mill. The reception is the same: shock, gratitude, and a quiet, worried hospitality. A dragon, they ask, their faces pale. Here, after all these years, the Dragonborn is given a key to their house. Stay as long as you need, Alva or Gerda says. What's ours is yours. They're given a few meagre supplies, some bread, cheese, maybe a few healing potions. It is an act of simple, profound kindness in a world that has shown none. And then the inevitable. You have to tell the Jarl. Go to Whiterun. Tell Jarl Balgruuf what you saw. He must be warned. This is the call to adventure. This is the first step on the main quest. The Dragonborn naturally ignores it completely, because power is not in Whiterun. Power, at this exact moment, is standing right here in Riverwood, complaining about a bard. The village, like any small isolated community, is a hotbed of petty drama. The Dragonborn quickly learns of the local love triangle. There is Camilla Valerius, sister to Lucan, the proprietor of the Riverwood Trader General Store. And there are her two suitors, Sven, a local bard of questionable talent who spends his evenings at the Sleeping Giant Inn, and Faendal, a Bosmer or wood elf hunter who works at the sawmill. Both are convinced they are the one for Camilla. Both are convinced the other is a degenerate who must be stopped. The Dragonborn, simply by existing, becomes the pawn in their game. Sven will approach them, handing them a letter. This is from Faendal to Camilla, he'll lie, with all the subtlety of a slammed door. Just make sure she gets it, will you? The letter is of course a forgery, insulting Camilla and signed with Faendal's name. Faendal, if approached, will offer a nearly identical quest, with an equally slanderous fake letter from Sven. This is the core in-game fact, the A Lovely Letter quest. The Dragonborn is meant to choose a side, deliver the fake letter, and ruin one man's reputation to bolster the other's. It is a lesson in small-town manipulation. Sven, if chosen, offers the Dragonborn some gold. He will become a follower, but his skills are, well, he's a bard. He sings, plays the lute, and is proficient at getting in the way during a fight. Faendal, however, is a hunter. He is an archer, and he offers to train the Dragonborn in archery. The Dragonborn, possessed of a sudden and chilling pragmatism, takes Faendal's letter. They march right over to Camilla at the Riverwood Trader. They could show her the letter, exposing Faendal's deception. They could also lie to her and say Sven wrote the fake letter, securing Faendal's gratitude. But the truly savvy Dragonborn plays a third angle. They give her Sven's actual letter, the one Sven entrusted to them. Sven wanted me to give this to you. Camilla reads it, is disgusted by Sven's pathetic attempt at poetry, and thanks the Dragonborn for their honesty. Then they go to Fendal. Sven's out of the picture, friend. Faendal is overjoyed. He's so grateful, in fact, that he offers his services. If you ever need a companion on the road, just say the word. The Dragonborn says the word. Fendal, his bow slung over his shoulder, is now their loyal friend. This is where the magic happens. Fendal, the Dragonborn asks, can you teach me about archery? Happy to, he says, all smiles, but it'll cost you. The first lesson is cheap. The Dragonborn's archery skill ticks up from 15 to 16. The world feels a tiny bit sharper. Teach me more. The price goes up. The skill ticks again. 17, 18, 19, 20. The Dragonborn pays and pays and pays 5 times. Their personal level bar shoots up. They are now level 2. They pay Fendal 5 more times. Level 3. They are burning through the small amount of coin they scrounge from the corpses in Helgen's keep. But Faendal is a follower. Faendal, the Dragonborn says, a new calculating glint in their eye. I need to trade some things with you. Faendal, ever trusting, replies, you got it, friend. The Dragonborn opens Faendal's inventory, and there it is. Every single septim they just paid him. They take it all back. The elf doesn't even blink. His friend has just pickpocketed him with extra steps, and his programming is utterly, blissfully unaware. Teach me more about archery. Happy to, but it'll cost you. And so, the loop begins. The Dragonborn spends an afternoon in the misty Riverwood. Forest. Pay. Train. Level. Trade. Reclaim. Over and over. The ching of coin, followed by the swing of the level up, followed by the rustle of the trade menu, becomes a hypnotic rhythm. It's the sound of raw, unadulterated exploitation. It's like finding an ATM that's also your gullible best friend. This isn't just a small boost. Faendal can train the Dragonborn all the way to level 50 in Archery. This isn't a leg up. This is a rocket launch. The Dragonborn, who mere hours ago was fumbling with a rusty sword, is now a master marksman. They can draw a bow with lethal speed, their aim is steady and their arrows hit with the force of a small cart. They are still wearing raggedy armour and carrying 3 pieces of cheese, but they can now kill a bandit from 100 yards away. What makes this particular exploit so deliciously dark is its setting. Fendal is a Bosmer, and this is where we find our obscure lore tidbit. The Bosmer of Valenwood live by a code called the Green Pact. It is a sacred vow to their god, Y'ffre, the spinner, the storyteller, the god of the now. The pact forbids them from harming any plant life in Valenwood. They cannot cut trees for wood, or pick flowers, or even eat vegetables. Their tools, their homes, their very lives must be built from non-plant materials, often bone and insect resin. The dark corollary to this is the meat mandate. Since they cannot eat plants, they must be exclusively carnivorous, and to ensure nothing is wasted, the Green Pact requires them to consume their fallen enemies, all of them. This is not a metaphor. The Bosmer are by divine decree ritualistic cannibals. Now Fendal is in Skyrim. He's chopping wood at a sawmill. He is by any definition a terrible Bosmer. This little fact has led fans to debate. Is he an outcast? Is he just a city elf, so far removed from Valenwood culture that the pact no longer applies? Or is he perhaps relieved to be in Skyrim, where he can eat a salad without committing a mortal sin, and where he isn't obligated to finish his plate after a bandit skirmish? This context makes the Dragonborn's exploitation even funnier. This elf, who is already having a crisis of cultural identity, has just been adopted by the most manipulative person in Tamriel. The Dragonborn is, in essence, bullying a religious refugee for free archery lessons. So, the sun begins to set over Riverwood. The Dragonborn's arm aches. Their fingers are raw from the bowstring. They are now level 10, just from this one interaction. They are a one-person arrow-slinging death machine. And Faendal, his pockets empty for the 40th time, just smiles. Good work, friend. You're a natural. The Dragonborn smiles back. They have a place to sleep. They have a loyal, if somewhat dim-witted, pack mule. And they have a skill that will carry them through half the game. Whiterun can wait. The Jarl can wait. Destiny can wait. It's time to find a horse. The Dragonborn leaves Faendal's side, his pockets full of reclaimed training money, and a mastery of the bow that feels utterly unearned. It sits in their muscles like a borrowed coat, unfamiliar but warm. Riverwood is quiet. Alva is hammering at his forge, the clang, 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 a steady rhythmic heartbeat for the small village. Gerda is shouting at her brother Hod. The world is for a moment normal, but the Dragonborn is not normal. They are level 10, a master archer, and they have a divine mandate to go warn a Jarl in a city they've never seen. They pat Fendal on the shoulder, the elf grinning, blissfully unaware of the financial crimes committed against him. Come on, friend, the Dragonborn murmurs. We're going to Whiterun. The walk is a walk. It is tedious. It is the schlep of the level 1 character. They cross the bridge over the White River, the water churning below, and begin the long uphill trek. The air is clear, and the world feels massive. Every rock and tree stump is an obstacle. They pass the Pelagia farm, the workers bent over in the fields. They pass the Honningbrew meadery, the air thick with the smell of sweet fermenting honey. And then finally they crest the last hill, Whiterun. It is not just a city, it is a landmark. Built around the massive green-hued hull of a legendary ship, the Jorvaska, home of the companions, the city rises up a great stone bluff, culminating in the imposing silhouette of Dragon's Reach, the Jarl's palace, its back to the throat of the world. But the Dragonborn does not go to the gates. The Jarl can wait. Warnings about the end of the world can wait, because just outside the gates to the right is the Whiterun stables, and the Dragonborn's feet hurt. The stables are run by a grumpy whiskered Nord named Skulvar. His son, Jervar, is there too, endlessly sweeping the same patch of hay. A few horses are in the stalls, snorting and stamping in the cold. Skulver approaches, sizing up the Dragonborn's raggedy armour. Here to buy a horse? Best in Skyrim. Only 1,000 septims. 1,000. The Dragonborn looks at the coin purse. It's not empty, thanks to their light-fingered friendship with Faendal, but 1,000 septims is everything they have. It is armour. It is weapons. It is a lifetime supply of cheese wheels. It is frankly an insult. And this is the core in-game fact of the third exploit. Ownership in Skyrim is a suggestion. The Dragonborn nods politely at Skulver, then wanders over to a fine-looking bay mare tied to a post. They look at Skulvar. He's turned his back, yelling at Jervar about the hay. They look at the guard patrolling the road. He's walking away. Faendal, loyal and mute, just stands there, probably admiring Camilla's forged letter again. The Dragonborn is presented with a prompt. Steal. It feels so impolite. They are the hero. They are the Dragonborn. But their feet really hurt. They glance around one more time. The coast is clear. With a deft movement, they untie the reins, swing a leg over the saddle and settle onto the horse's back. The steal prompt vanishes. The world is silent. No one shouts. No bounty is added. They are, in the eyes of the 9 divines and the game's engine, the legitimate owner of this animal until they get off. With a gentle kick, the Dragonborn urges the horse forward. The animal trots, then breaks into a canter, then a full thundering gallop. The sensation is intoxicating. The wind rips past their face, whipping their hair. The ground, which they have so painstakingly crossed on foot, is now a blur. This is not transportation. This is power. This is freedom. And then, the funniest part, a sound. Thud, 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 thud. The Dragonborn glances back. Faendal, his elven face set in a grim mask of determination, is sprinting behind them. He is a blur of green and brown, his legs pumping, keeping pace with the horse with a terrifying superhuman endurance. He is their loyal, athletic, idiotic friend. The Dragonborn for a moment feels a pang of guilt. Then they spur the horse faster just to see if he can keep up. He can. But the Dragonborn is not riding for leisure. They are not riding to Whiterun. They are riding to everywhere. They are exploiting the single greatest gift the horse provides, unlocking the map. By simply visiting a location, by getting close enough for the small compass icon to appear, that location is permanently added to the Dragonborn's map, and once it's there, they can fast travel to it, instantly, from anywhere. So, the Grand Tour begins. They ride west from Whiterun, Faendal pounding the tundra behind them. They gallop past Fort Greymore, its crumbling battlements crawling with bandits. Location discovered. They don't stop. They don't fight. They are a blur. They ride into the vast, dangerous expanse of the Reach. The landscape changes from plains to sheer, jagged cliffs of grey stone. This is forsworn country. Mad, antler-crowned savages who worship ancient dark gods. A saber cat, all teeth and muscle, lunges from the bushes. The Dragonborn doesn't draw their new bow, they just ride. The horse, which seems to possess a suicidal bravery, barely flinches. The cat is left behind, roaring in frustration. They clatter through Carthweston, a miserable mining town. Location discovered. They ride all the way to the great stone city of Markarth, built into the ruins of an ancient Dwemer stronghold. The sound of the waterfalls and the clanging of the smelters echoes from the high stone walls. Markarth stables discovered. Markarth discovered. The Dragonborn pauses, wheels the horse around, and rides east, all the way east. Faendal is probably dying. They don't check. They ride back through Whiterun Hold, past the city, and into the snowy passes of the Pale. The air grows colder, the wind howls. They see the ancient, crumbling towers of the College of Winterhold, perched precariously on a collapsing glacier. College of Winterhold discovered. They ride south, into the volcanic tundra of Eastmarch. The ground bubbles with sulphuric hot springs, the air smelling of rotten eggs and pine. They gallop past Kynesgrove, location discovered. They thunder across the high, grey, imposing bridge of Windhelm, the ancient capital of the Stormcloaks, a city of ice and prejudice. Windhelm stables discovered. Windhelm discovered. This is where the obscure lore tidbit becomes relevant. In books like Of Steeds and Stables, the horses of Skyrim are praised. They are not the sleek, fast breeds of Cyrodiil. They are stubborn, strong and sure-footed, bred by the Nords to handle the impossible terrain. This isn't just flavour text, it is a mechanical reality. The Dragonborn proves this by directing the horse at a 45-degree rock face. The horse, without complaint, begins to walk up it. This, of course, is the fan debate, the legendary goat physics of the Skyrim horse. Fans have argued for over a decade. Is this a bug or a feature? Is the horse's ability to defy gravity and climb sheer mountains an oversight? Or is it an intentional design choice, reflecting the lore that these animals are just that hardy? The community consensus is a loving shrug. It's ridiculous, it's immersion-breaking, and it is essential. The Dragonborn clinging to the mane of their vertical climbing horse feels less like a hero and more like a cartoon character who has forgotten to look down. They crest the mountain, Faendal somehow scrambling up behind them, and ride south. South. All the way south. Down the map through the snowy passes into the most beautiful and most dangerous hold, the Rift. The snows recede, replaced by the stunning gold and orange of the aspen and birch trees. The air is warmer. It's also thick with the buzzing of mosquitoes and the casual threats of the local Thieves Guild. The Dragonborn doesn't slow down. They ride past Everstead, at the base of the throat of the world. They ride past a dozen bandit-infested forts. They finally arrive at the gates of Rifton, a city built on a lake, smelling of honey and crime. Rifton stables discovered. Rifton discovered. And they are done. They dismount near the Rifton stables. The horse, now unstolen, wanders off to graze, its marathon complete. Faendal collapses in a heap, his lungs probably on fire. The Dragonborn opens their map. It is covered. Markarth, Whiterun, Windhelm, Rifton, Winterhold. The icons gleam like little beacons of convenience. The world, which hours ago was an impassable, hostile continent, has been shrunk. It is now a list of menu options. The Dragonborn can now be anywhere, instantly. They have broken the tyranny of distance. This is true power. This is level 1 thinking. They are a master archer who can teleport. They let Fendal catch his breath. They are near the border of Morrowind. It's a long way from, well, anywhere. But they remember seeing a strange circle of stones on their way, west from Whiterun. The Guardian Stones were a good start, but they were basic. The Dragonborn feels a pull, a new desire, a desire for something more universal. The Dragonborn stands in the damp autumnal air of Rifton, the faint smell of lake water and honeymead on the breeze. Faendal has just regained the ability to breathe without sounding like a dying bellows. The Dragonborn, paying him no mind, opens their map. The parchment is no longer a vast, intimidating mystery. It is a tool. It is a weapon. The icons for the major cities, discovered during their whirlwind, horse-powered tour, gleam with the promise of instant, effortless travel. The Jarl of Whiterun can still wait. The main quest is a suggestion, not a command. This new power must be consolidated. They place a finger on the icon for the Whiterun stables. The world dissolves. There is no journey. There is no time. There is only a dizzying, momentary sensation of non-existence. And then, pop. The Dragonborn is standing exactly where they stole the horse. The air is drier here, smelling of tundra cotton and the distant sulphurous breath of the volcanic plains. Faendal materializes a half-second later, his knees buckling, his elven eyes wide with a terror that his simple follower brain cannot process. He has just experienced fast travel. It is perhaps the most traumatic thing to happen to him all day, and that includes the financial audit. The Dragonborn ignores his silent existential scream and turns west. The Guardian Stones, the ones they activated on leaving Helgen, are just down the road. They had chosen the warrior, a 20% boost to combat skills. It was a good choice. An obvious choice. It was also a limiting choice. The Dragonborn is not just a warrior. They are in their heart a budding kleptomaniac, a smith, an enchanter, an alchemist, and a very, very bad person. A 20% boost to one thing is inefficient. They need a buff for everything. They begin to walk. The horse is gone, and this journey, they know, must be made on foot. They must earn this next step. They trudge past the Western Watchtower, a crumbling ruin of stone that will, one day, be the site of their first real dragon fight. Today, it is just a landmark. Fendal, loyal and confused, walks behind them. They head west into the deep grey, jagged heart of the Reach. The landscape of Whiterun, all rolling plains and gentle hills, gives way to a brutal, vertical world of sheer cliffs and sharp, unforgiving stone. This is Forsworn territory. The core in-game fact is that the Reach is not like the rest of Skyrim. It is a land of simmering rebellion. The Forsworn, the native Reachmen, are a wild, terrifying mix of Breton and Nord, bound by ancient pre-Nordic traditions. They wear armour of fur, bone and antlers. They wield weapons of sharpened stone, and they are furious. They were driven from their ancestral capital, Markarth, by Ulfric Stormcloak in a bloody purge, and now they wage a relentless, brutal guerrilla war from the caves and crags of the mountains. A shadow detaches itself from the rocks. It is a Forsworn scout, his body covered in blue, woad paint, antlers tied to his head. He looks less like a man and more like a vengeful forest spirit. He raises a gnarled staff. The Dragonborn does not hesitate. The bow comes up, a smooth, practiced motion drilled into their very code by Faendal's endless, expensive lessons. Thwack! The arrow crosses the distance in a heartbeat, sinking deep into the Forsworn's chest. The man crumples, a bundle of fur and rage, his spell fizzling on his fingertips. Faendal, who has just drawn his own bow, lowers it, impressed. Good shot, friend, he probably thinks. The Dragonborn just knocks another arrow scanning the cliffs. This journey is dangerous. They are still low level, a glass cannon who can hit hard but shatter just as easily. They and Faendal move carefully, picking their way up a winding, narrow path. The air grows thin and cold, and then they see it. High on a cliff, overlooking the valley and the distant tumbling waterfalls of Karthwasten, is another circle of monoliths, but this one is dominated by a single central stone. It is carved with the constellation of the Lover. The Dragonborn approaches. There is a strange, low hum in the air. This stone is one of the Charges, the children of the Guardian constellations. It is a specialised and far more potent sign. They reach out a hand. The stone is cold, but a vibration passes through their palm, up their arm, and settles into their chest. The red aura of the warrior stone fades from them like a sigh. A new message appears in their vision, the Lover Stone added. You will learn all skills 15% faster. This is the move. It feels like a downgrade. 20% is more than 15%. But the warrior stone only boosted combat skills. The Lover boost everything: smithing, alchemy, enchanting, speech, lockpicking, sneak, archery. Every single skill they possess now grows 15% faster. It is the single greatest tool for a power leveler, and this is where the obscure lore tidbit lies. What is this stone? In-game books like Cosmology tell us that the stars are not just distant fires, they are, in fact, holes, perforations in the black veil of night, punched through by the Magna Ge, the star gods, as they fled the mortal plane of Mundus upon its creation. These holes lead directly to Aetherius, the plane of pure, unadulterated magicka. The constellations are just patterns of these holes. By touching the Lover Stone, the Dragonborn is not just getting a 15% XP buff, they are attuning their very soul to that specific pattern of ethereal energy, allowing the raw creative power of Aetherius to flow into them more readily. They are, in a very real sense, aligning their destiny with the stars. Of course, the fan debate takes this a step further. Why take the Lover when you could just sleep in a bed for a well-rested buff? Why permanently give up the 20% combat boost? The answer is twofold. 1. The Dragonborn, as a creature of power gaming, will soon discover they are a werewolf, and werewolves cannot get the well-rested buff, making the Lover Stone their only option. 2. The ethereal crown. The community has long argued about the perfect standing stone combination. The Dawnguard expansion introduced the ethereal crown, a Dwemer artifact of immense power that allows the wearer to hold 2 standing stone blessings at once. The Dragonborn, standing on this cliff, is already planning for this. They are taking the Lover Stone now as their base. Later, they will find this crown and add the Warrior Stone back, or the Atronach Stone, or the Lord Stone. They will have the 15% universal boost plus a massive specialised buff. It is the ultimate display of cosmic greed. The Dragonborn turns away from the stone, a new, more subtle power thrumming beneath their skin. Every rock they pick up, every flower they harvest, every lock they pick. It will all make them stronger, faster. They are high in the reach, it is a long way from anywhere. But they remember on their mad dash with the horse, galloping past a bandit camp near Whiterun. A place called Halted Stream Camp. The map icon is there, waiting. And inside that camp, rumour has it, is a spell. A spell that can turn worthless iron into pure shining gold. They open their map. Faendal, who has just begun to admire the view, braces himself. Whoosh. Whoosh. The world snaps back into focus. The air of the Reach, thin and cold, is replaced by the smell of tundra cotton and damp grass. Faendal stumbles, his face a pale green, and seems to seriously reconsider his life choices. The Dragonborn, however, feels nothing but the thrum of potential. The 15% boost from the Lover Stone is a quiet, constant hum in their blood. Every action, every thought, every step is now just a little more productive. They are standing on the rolling plains of Whiterun Hold. North, just over the next hill, is a plume of smoke, Halted Stream Camp, a place marked on their map, a place they galloped past on their stolen horse. But now, it is not a landmark, it is an objective. They approach with the wind at their back. From a distance, the camp is unimpressive. It's a shoddy stockade of sharpened logs, a few ragged tents, and a campfire. A single bandit, his back to the Dragonborn, leans against the palisade, probably complaining about the cold. The Dragonborn, now a master of the bow, does not see a person. They see a target. They crouch behind a convenient boulder. Faendal, bless his heart, crouches with them, nocking an arrow ready to defend his friend, employer, abuser. The relationship is unclear. The Dragonborn raises a hand. Wait. This isn't a job for two. This is practice. The bowstring is drawn back, smooth and silent. The Dragonborn's breathing slows. The world narrows. The bandit sighs, shifts his weight. Thwack! The arrow sings, a high, thin wee that ends with a wet, percussive thud. The bandit lurches, a new feathered appendage sprouting from his neck, and slumps to the ground. Another bandit, this one an archer on a rickety wooden platform, shouts, "What was that? Where are you?" He peers into the twilight, his eyes straining. Thwack! His question is answered, not with words, but with a meticulously placed length of wood and iron. He topples from his perch and lands with a heavy final sound. The camp explodes. "We're under attack! By the gods, find them!" The Dragonborn just smiles. They are a ghost, a boulder, a bringer of distant, pointy death. The bandits rush out of their tents, brandishing axes and swords, and are cut down one by one, transformed from living, breathing people into archery pincushions before they can even identify where the attack is coming from. It is frankly a massacre. It is pest control. Faendal, who has not moved or loosed a single arrow, is probably in awe. The Dragonborn waits. The screams stop. The only sound is the crackle of the campfire and the wind. They rise, brushing dust from their knees, and stroll into the camp. It is a charnel house. They calmly walk over the bodies, stripping them of their leather armour, their iron weapons, and the 4 septims they each carry. It is a meagre haul, but this isn't the hall. The core in-game fact of Halted Stream Camp is that the surface camp is just the welcome mat. The real operation is underground. The Dragonborn finds a grim, fur-covered trapdoor leading into the earth. They pull it open. The smell that wafts up is pungent. It is a miasma of unwashed bodies, stale ale, and beneath it all the sharp metallic tang of iron. They light a torch and descend. The tunnel is dark, braced with rough-hewn timbers. It opens into a small subterranean river, lit by the faint, eerie glow of bioluminescent mushrooms. More bandits. But down here, in the close quarters, the bow is less of an I win button. The Dragonborn draws their sword, the one they took from Helgen, which feels like a lifetime ago. The fight is clumsy, brutal, and desperate. It's the flailing of a level 1 character who has poured all their skill points into a single, ranged tree. They hack, they block, they get hit, the pain a sharp, sudden thump that makes their vision flash red. Faendal, finally in his element, leaps into the fray, his own blade a blur. It's a mess, but they prevail. They stumble over the bodies, breathing hard, their arm aching. The tunnel continues, opening into a larger chamber. And this is it. The chamber is a massive natural cavern, but it is also, very clearly, a mine. The walls are riddled with veins of dark reddish-brown iron. Pickaxes are scattered everywhere. In the centre of the room, on a raised platform, is the bandit chief, a large, furious-looking Nord in heavy steel armour, clutching a massive battle axe. He roars and charges. The Dragonborn, demonstrating a profound instinctive cowardice, immediately sidesteps and lets Faendal take the charge. The elf, loyal to a fault, engages the chief, his one-handed sword a desperate clang, clang, clang against the chief's heavy, two-handed blows. The Dragonborn, seeing their opening, pulls out their bow. Thwack! An arrow sinks into the chief's back. He roars, spinning around. Thwack! Another! It's like shooting a bear in a barrel. The chief, enraged and confused, tries to decide who to kill, and in his hesitation, he is felled. The cave is silent. The Dragonborn stands amidst the carnage, the glow of the torch illuminating the scene. The place is a jackpot, not the bandit's chest, though they loot that too, finding a respectable pile of coin. The real treasure is the iron. The walls are caked in it, and then, on the chief's table, next to a half-eaten hawker loaf and a bottle of Alto wine, is a book. It has a blue cover, depicting a hand altering the very stars. Spell tome, Transmute Mineral Ore. The Dragonborn picks it up. They are a master archer, a budding thief, and a terrible swordsman. They are not a mage, but the description is compelling. Converts one piece of unrefined iron ore to silver ore or silver ore to gold ore. They absorb the book. The cover dissolves into a stream of blue-white light, flowing into their hands, their head. It is a strange, cold feeling. The knowledge of a new spell settles into their mind. It is of the alteration school. They look at the pickaxe on the floor. They walk to the nearest vein and with a grunt begin to swing, clang, clang, clang. A chunk of raw iron ore falls into their hand. They hold it. It is heavy, rough, and worthless. They focus on the new, cold knowledge in their mind. They feel for the pool of magicka within them, a resource they have until this moment completely ignored. They cast the spell. A silvery blue light envelops their hand. The iron ore shimmers. The texture shifts. The rough, reddish-brown fades, replaced by a smooth, pale, metallic sheen. It is impossibly silver ore. The Dragonborn's jaw drops. They cast again. The silver ore flares with light. It warms in their hand. The pale colour deepens, becoming a rich, heavy, decadent yellow. It is gold. This is the obscure lore tidbit. The School of Alteration is not simply changing things. In-game tomes like Reality and Other Falsehoods describe it as a magic of debate. Alteration mages do not force reality to change, they convince it to. The spell is less physics and more bullying. The Dragonborn is essentially staring at a piece of iron and saying, "You're gold now, don't argue." And the universe, cowed by this display of magical audacity, just agrees. It is a terrifyingly subtle, high-level concept hidden in a simple, get-rich-quick spell. This, of course, leads to the fan theory. Why did these bandits have this? Bandits are, as a rule, magically illiterate. They solve problems with pointy objects. Theory 1. The chief killed a travelling mage and this was just part of the loot. He had no idea what it was, using it as a coaster for his mead. Theory 2. The far more interesting one. The bandits knew. This wasn't just a mine. This was a counterfeiting operation. They weren't just mining iron. They were mining iron, transmuting it to gold, and planning to, what? Flood the market, smith it into jewellery. This makes the Dragonborn's arrival less a heroic clearing of a bandit den and more a hostile takeover of a promising startup. They didn't save anyone, they just eliminated the competition. The Dragonborn looks at the gold ore in their hand. They look at the walls covered in iron. They look at the half-dozen pickaxes on the floor, and they look at Fendal, their loyal, long-suffering pack mule. Fendal, the Dragonborn says, a new manic gleam in their eye. Wait here, don't touch anything. They grab a pickaxe. The Loverstone hums, ready to reward the labour. The sound of clang, clang, clang begins to echo through the cave. It will be a very, very long night. The clang, clang. Clang of the pickaxe is a dull, repetitive percussion in the damp, fungal-lit cavern. It is the sound of manual labour. It is the sound of a hero, a prophesied figure of destiny, reduced to the back-breaking work of a common miner. And the Dragonborn is loving it. With every swing, the 15% boost from the Lover Stone sends a tiny, satisfying zing of experience through their soul. They are not just mining, they are growing. The iron ore piles up at their feet, a mound of reddish-brown, worthless rock. Faendal, his face a mask of loyal incomprehension, just stands there, a silent witness to this sudden, obsessive-compulsive industry. Soon, the Dragonborn is ankle-deep in ore. They stop, their arms burning, their back aching. This is the first problem. Ore is heavy. Each chunk has a weight, a physical reality that the Dragonborn's meagre inventory cannot handle. They scoop it up, and in seconds, a message flashes. You're carrying too much to be able to run. They are a statue, a hero-shaped paperweight, buried in their own ambition. They turn to Faendal. "Friend," they say, their voice echoing slightly in the cave. "I need to trade some things with you." The elf's face brightens. "You got it." The Dragonborn begins to transfer the ore. Click, click, click. 100 pounds, 200, 300. The elf doesn't so much as grunt. He is a walking, breathing, magically attuned closet. He is a bag of holding with a bow and a bad haircut. The Dragonborn mines another vein and another, and fills Faendal's pockets until the game itself seems to protest. They have, between the two of them, harvested every last scrap of iron from Halted Stream Camp. They are standing in a mountain of potential. Now for Phase 2. The Dragonborn holds a piece of iron ore in their calloused palm. They focus on the cold blue knowledge of the transmute spell. They cast whoosh. The ore shimmers, turning to silver. They feel their magicka, a tiny thimble-sized pool, drain by half. They cast again. Whoosh. The silver flares, turning to gold. Their magicka pool is now empty. Psst. They have one piece of gold ore. They have perhaps 500 pieces of iron ore left. This is not a loop. This is a chore. The Dragonborn could, in theory, go to sleep on one of the filth-encrusted bandit bedrolls, but that's inefficient. That takes time, and then they discover the single most powerful tool in their arsenal. More powerful than a shout, more powerful than a sword. They discover the wait function. They stand perfectly still, the torchlight flickering on their face. The world goes black. A clock appears. Wait for 1 hour. They wait. In that single, non-existent hour, their magicka recharges completely, the world fast-forwarding around their static form. The loop begins. Cast, cast, fizzed. Wait. Cast, cast, fizzed. Wait. This is the core in-game fact. The transmute spell is from the School of Alteration, and every single time they cast, their alteration skill, a skill they have never used, begins to climb. 15, 16, 20, 30. With every 5 casts, their overall character level dings. They are now level 11, level 12, level 13. They are leveling up, not by fighting dragons, not by slaying Draugr, but by standing in a damp, smelly bandit cave and committing acts of small-scale, repetitive alchemy. It is the most mundane and most effective form of power leveling imaginable. The hours, and then days, blur, cast, wait. The pile of iron ore shrinks. The pile of gold ore now weighing down the long-suffering Faendal grows to an absurd, economy-breaking size. The Dragonborn's alteration skill is now 50, 60, 70. They are, on paper, a master of a magical school they know one spell from. Finally, the last piece of iron shimmers into gold. The Dragonborn is dizzy, their mind numb from the repetition. They are now perhaps level 20. They are a god of alteration, and they are, thanks to Faendal, a walking, breathing gold mine. But ore is not coin. They need a forge. They open their map, Whiterun, F-whoosh. They materialize at the city gates. The guards, seeing a figure in ragged armour and a wood elf who appears to be listing under an invisible, crushing weight, pay them no mind. The Dragonborn strides past the gate, not to Dragon's Reach, but to the first forge they can find, War Maidens. Adriana Avenici, the smith, is outside, arguing with her father. I'm telling you, the forge is... The Dragonborn brushes past her, ignoring the dialogue. They walk to the smelter, a great stone and brick oven blazing with heat. They talk to Faendal. I need to trade. They take the hundreds of pounds of gold ore which transfers to their own inventory, their legs buckling. They dump it all into the smelter. The machine roars to life. The shh of refining metal, a song of pure profit. Gold ingots. So many gold ingots. They waddle over-encumbered to the blacksmith forge itself. The clang, clang, clang of their earlier mining is replaced by a new rhythm. They access the smithing menu. They could make armour, they could make weapons. But a gold ingot can be hammered into 2 gold rings. It is the single most efficient use of the resource. 1 ingot, 2 items. 2 items, 2 bursts of smithing experience. The real grind begins. The Dragonborn's hammer rises and falls. Clang, swing, clang, swing. The smithing skill bar flies up. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, in the space of a single afternoon, under the confused gaze of Adrian Avenici, the Dragonborn, who has never so much as repaired a boot, becomes the single greatest blacksmith in Skyrim. Their arms, which should be jelly, are tireless. The Loverstone hums, amplifying every strike. The ding of their character level is a constant joyful chime. Level 25, level 30. This is where the obscure lore tidbit adds its flavour. In Skyrim, smithing is not just crafting, it is a holy act. In-game books like the Armourer's Challenge speak of smiths as clever men, artists touched by the divine. The Nords revere Zenithar, the god of work and commerce, the patron of craft and labour. The Dragonborn, in their manic, repetitive, exploitative loop, is not just cheesing the game. They are, in a very real sense, performing a 9-hour prayer to Zenithar. They are hammering their way into divine favour, one gaudy, worthless ring at a time. The sheer, mindless repetition is the devotion. And now, the fan debate. Is this an exploit? The community is split. The developers placed the transmute spell in the largest, most accessible iron mine in the early game. They made gold rings the most efficient conversion of gold ingots to experience and items. It feels intentional. It feels like a secret handshake, a reward for the player who says, "Wait, can I do this?" It's not a bug. It's an undocumented feature. A get-rich, get-powerful starter pack for anyone clever enough to connect the dots. The sun is setting. The Dragonborn's hammer finally falls silent. Their smithing is 100. Their alteration is 80. Their character level is 32. And their inventory is choked with thousands of gold rings. They walk, waddle, over to Adrian. "I'd like to trade with you." Her eyes go wide. The Dragonborn begins to sell, ring after ring after ring. Her entire gold supply, 1,000 septims, is gone in a second. The Dragonborn has barely made a dent. They go inside to her husband, Ulfberth. Sell. His gold is gone. They go to the general store to Belethor. "Everything's for sale, my friend. Everything." The Dragonborn nods. "Good." They sell. Belethor's gold is gone. In 10 minutes, the Dragonborn has drained every merchant in Whiterun of their coin. They are, by any definition, absurdly, disgustingly rich. They have more money than the Jarl. They could buy Dragon's Reach, probably. They stand in the Whiterun marketplace, the setting sun painting the sky orange. They are level 32. They are a master archer, a master smith, a master-level transmuter, and they are dressed in rags. They have money, they have skill, but they have no power. Their magic is a party trick. Their archery, while lethal, is mundane. They crave something more, something Daedric. They remember hearing whispers, a prison, east of Whiterun near the border of Eastmarch, Fort Amol, a place where a court wizard was imprisoned, a wizard who was dabbling in Conjuration, a wizard who, the rumours say, left behind a very special, very powerful spellbook, a spell for a bow that needs no arrows, a bow made of a demon's soul. The Dragonborn stands in the centre of the Whiterun marketplace, a god of industry and wealth. Their inventory is bursting with thousands of septims and thousands of gold rings. They have, in a single day, broken the entire economy of Whiterun hold. Belethor is probably weeping in his shop. Adrian is questioning her life's work. But the Dragonborn feels incomplete. They are level 32. Their smithing, archery, and alteration skills are legendary. But they are still wearing the same raggedy, blood-stained armour they scavenged from the Helgen keep. They could, of course, make a full set of Daedric armour. They are, after all, a master smith, but they don't have the materials. They have no ebony. They have no Daedra hearts. They're a master chef with an empty pantry. And their bow, it's a simple, unenchanted hunting bow. It feels sluggish, weak. Their skill is master level, but their tool is an antique. They need a weapon. Not a weapon of steel and wood, but a weapon of power. A weapon that befits their new station. They recall the whispers, the guard gossip, the scraps of conversation. A prison. Fort Amol. A wizard who was locked away for dabbling in things he shouldn't have. And a spell. A spell that could create a weapon from nothing. A weapon from elsewhere. The Dragonborn opens their map. The Jarl summons to Dragon's Reach. To warn him of the dragon is a quest marker that they have learned to ignore with prejudice. It is a tiny, irrelevant icon. They look east. They had, on their mad horse ride, discovered the Windhelm stables. It's the closest point. Whoosh. The warm air of Whiterun is gone, replaced by the biting, icy wind of Eastmarch. The sky is a flat, oppressive grey. The city of Windhelm, the ancient, snow-blasted capital of the Stormcloaks, looms in the distance. The Dragonborn can hear the faint, angry shouts of Nords, probably yelling at a Dunmer. Faendal appears, shivering, his thin Bosmer clothing utterly inadequate for the climate. He has become, over the course of this journey, less a companion and more of a non-consensual teleportation test dummy. Fort Amol is not far. They trudge south, through the snowdrifts, the wind whining in their ears. The fort soon appears, a dark, angular silhouette against the grey snow. It is a classic imperial design, but it is in disrepair, and it is not empty. A figure in dark robes wreathed in a faint, sickly blue aura patrols the battlements. A mage. The fort is occupied by rogue conjurers and necromancers. The Dragonborn smiles. This is a target-rich environment. They crouch. Faendal crouches. They realise, terrible at sneaking. Their every movement is a symphony of rustling leather and clanking gold rings. The mage on the wall stops. "Who's there? I know you're out there." The Dragonborn, accepting that subtlety has failed, simply stands up. The mage raises her hand, a ball of frost and ice coalescing in her palm. Thwack. The archery skill, honed by Faendal, is still perfect. The hunting bow, though weak, is accurate. The arrow strikes the mage in the chest. She stumbles, her spell fizzling. Thwack! The second arrow takes her in the throat. She folds over the crenellations, a dark splash of red on the grey stone. "To arms! Intruders!" the fort erupts. Two more mages, one in black robes, one in blue, rush from the main keep. One begins to chant, his hands glowing. A faint, ethereal shape begins to form in front of him. A frost Atronach. The Dragonborn does not give him the chance. Thwack! 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 The arrows fly, a rhythmic, lethal barrage. The mages fall, their summons dissolving before they can even fully materialise. The Dragonborn and Faendal storm the courtyard. It is a slaughter. The glass cannon hero is at least a cannon. But the fort's main keep is not the objective. The rumours spoke of a prison. To the side of the main courtyard, a smaller, more heavily fortified building stands apart. A single, iron-bound door. Fort Amol Prison. The Dragonborn shoves it open. The air inside is foul. It is the smell of despair, damp and old blood. A few cells line the walls. A single, furious fire mage stands guard, her hands already ablaze. She unleashes a torrent of flame. The Dragonborn, whose health is still that of a level 1 prisoner, dives behind a pillar, their ragged tunics smouldering. Fendal, now. Fendal, ever loyal, ever stupid, charges. The elf screams as the fire washes over him, but he is a distraction. The Dragonborn leans out, bow drawn. Thwack! The fire mage. Her attention on the burning elf doesn't see it coming. The arrow takes her in the side of the head. She collapses in a heap of smouldering robes. Faendal, miraculously, is still alive, though he looks like a lightly toasted marshmallow. The Dragonborn ignores his whimpering and begins to search. The prison is small. There's a chest with some lockpicks, a cell with a skeletal corpse, and then, in the corner, on a small table, nothing. A bucket, an empty wine bottle. But this is Skyrim. This is where the core in-game fact of this quest lies. Bethesda, the trickster gods, do not put powerful items on velvet cushions. They put them in buckets. The Dragonborn, possessed by a sudden instinct, kicks the bucket aside. And there it is, a book. Its cover is dark, depicting a stylized glowing sword. Spell tome. Bound bow. They pick it up. They absorb the knowledge. It is not the cold, intellectual chill of alteration. This is hot. It is a pull, a connection to something vast and dark and angry. The knowledge of the spell doesn't just settle in their mind, it claws its way in. Their conjuration skill, sitting at a pathetic 15, leaps to 20 as they feel their magicka, that tiny thimble-sized pool. They focus, they pull, foom. The sound is a deep bass thrum. Purple, ethereal energy erupts from their left hand, coalescing, solidifying. In seconds they are holding a bow, but it is not a bow of wood. It is a bow of night-black curves and glowing purple runes. It looks Daedric. It hums with a low malevolent power, seeming to pull at the light in the room. And as it forms, an identical quiver of 100 glowing purple arrows materializes on their back. This is the obscure lore tidbit. What is this? In-game books like the Doors of Oblivion are very clear. This is not magic, this is summoning. The Dragonborn has just reached across the veil of reality, into the fiery hellscape of Oblivion, grabbed a lesser Daedric spirit, a Dremora perhaps, and bound its very essence against its will into the shape of a weapon. The bow they are holding is a demon. It is an enslaved, screaming, furious soul, forced to serve them. Conjuration is not a polite art, it is the art of the slave master. The Dragonborn draws the string. It feels incredible. It is light, yet has the tension of a steel cable. They aim at the stone wall. They release. Thoom! The arrow detonates against the stone, a small explosion of purple light. The impact is staggering. This bow hits as hard as a Daedric bow, the single best bow type in the game, and it comes with 100 of its own arrows, which are also Daedric tier. The fan debate has long been about the spell's placement. Why is this god tier, mid to late game weapon just sitting here, accessible at level 1, hidden in a bucket? The common theory points to the imprisoned mage mentioned in a logbook. He was likely a member of the College of Winterhold caught practicing this dark art. He was imprisoned here, and sensing his end, he hid his most precious spell for someone like-minded to find. The Dragonborn isn't a hero. They are an inheritor of another's dark legacy. The Dragonborn, clutching this weapon of pure enslaved soul stuff, feels a true, deep sense of power for the first time. They are not just a smith. They are not just an archer. They are a master, but the bow is not permanent. After 120 seconds, it dissolves, the Daedric spirit roaring in frustration as it's ripped back to oblivion. It must be recast, and casting it takes a lot of magicka. The Dragonborn's tiny pool is drained almost completely by a single cast. This is a problem. They have the ultimate weapon, but only enough battery to summon it once or twice. They need more power. They need a bigger pool of magicka. They remember their journey. They remember the stones, the guardian, the lover, but they remember hearing tales of others. A stone to the south, in the sickly, sulphurous marshes of Eastmarch. A stone that gives a massive, unfathomable pool of magicka to those who would pay its price. The Atronach Stone. The Dragonborn dismisses the bow, the purple light fading with a disappointed sigh. They turn to Faendal. The elf has stopped smoking. "Come on," the Dragonborn says. "We're going for a walk." The Dragonborn stands in the frozen, dusty armory of Fort Amol. The prison's chill seeping into their bones. The spectral, purple-black energy of the bound bow has faded from their hand, but the knowledge of it remains, a hot, angry itch in the back of their mind. They have the spell, they have the weapon, but they do not have the power. Their magicka pool is a joke. It is a puddle. It is a damp spot. Casting the bound bow, an act of ripping a Daedric soul across dimensions and forcing it into a new shape, drains that puddle almost entirely. They could, in theory, cast it, fire a few shots, and then spend the next 5 minutes hiding behind a rock, hyperventilating, while their magicka slowly, painfully regenerated. This is not insanely powerful. This is mildly inconvenient. Fendal, who has mostly recovered from his brief fiery encounter with the prison's last guard, just shivers and waits for his next incomprehensible command. The Dragonborn knows what they need. They need a bigger battery. They need a lake of magicka, not a puddle. And they remember the legends. They remember the whispers of the standing stones, not the guardian stones, those safe, tame pillars for farmers and soldiers, not even the lover, with its gentle, universal blessing. They need one of the other signs, the dangerous ones. Southeast of here, past Windhelm, past the Kynes Grove, in the darkest, sickest part of the Eastmarch tundra, lies a marsh, a place of bubbling sulphuric pools and poisonous yellow air. And in the middle of it, a fount of raw cosmic power, the Atronach Stone. They leave the fort. The grey, oppressive sky of Eastmarch greets them like a damp towel to the face. The wind is relentless, carrying the distant smell of rotten eggs. They trudge through the snow, Faendal a miserable green and brown speck behind them. The snow thins, giving way to a landscape that looks diseased. The ground is a sickly greenish yellow. Pockets of water bubble with geothermal heat, releasing thick plumes of sulphurous steam. The air is a constant hiss. It is the most unwelcoming place they have yet discovered. This is the volcanic tundra, and it is not uninhabited. A roar, deep and guttural, echoes through the steam. A shape, large and white and angry, resolves from the mist. A frost troll. It is a walking nightmare of matted, snowy fur, 3 dark eyes and claws as long as daggers. It pounds its chest and charges. The Dragonborn, in a burst of panic and adrenaline, pulls. They cast the bound bow. Phoom! The Daedric weapon springs into their hand, their entire magicka pool vanishing in the purple flash. They have one cast. They have to make this count. The troll is closing, its arms windmilling, ready to tear them apart. The Dragonborn draws the bow. Thoom! The ethereal arrow hits the troll square in the chest. The beast stumbles, roaring in pain and confusion. This is not the plink of a hunting bow. This is a punch. Thoom! The second arrow hits its shoulder. Thoom! The third hits its eye. The massive creature, which could have tanked a dozen guards, topples over, its own momentum sending it crashing into a bubbling mud pot. It is dead. The bound bow dissolves into purple smoke. The Dragonborn is panting, their magicka pool utterly dry. The point has been made. The weapon is a god killer, but the cost is too high. They press on, deeper into the marsh. Faendal, who was probably just as terrified as the Dragonborn, offers no comment. He just squelches grimly along behind them. They find it. On a small rocky island in the centre of a boiling, green-tinted lake stands a circle of stones, and in the centre, the monolith, the Atronach Stone. It is carved with the sign of the golem, and it seems to vibrate, the air around it visibly shimmering from the raw, unstable power. It is, of course, guarded. A novice necromancer, his skin pale, his robes dark, is chanting at the stone, trying to siphon some of its energy. He turns, his eyes glowing with a faint blue light, and spots the Dragonborn. "You will be my next thrall," he hisses, raising his hands. The Dragonborn, with no magicka, simply pulls out their old reliable hunting bow. Thwack! The necromancer, all bluster and dark promises, crumples with an arrow in his throat. So much for dark magic. The Dragonborn wades through the hot, sulphurous water. The steam is blinding. They stand before the stone. It hums. This is not the warm, inviting hum of the lover. This is a cold, static, high-voltage screech. This is the core in-game fact of the Atronach Stone. It is the ultimate double-edged sword. They are still attuned to the lover, their 15% skill boost a comforting, warm blanket. They reach out and touch the stone. It is not a blessing. It is an assault. The warm light of the lover is violently extinguished, ripped from their soul. In its place, a torrent of cold, chaotic energy floods in. A message flashes in their vision. Atronach Stone added. They feel two things, instantly. First, their magicka pool, that tiny puddle, detonates. It expands, becoming a vast, deep, cold ocean. They have been given 50 points of magicka, more than doubling their entire supply. Second, they feel a strange electric static crawl across their skin, a defensive shell. This is 50% spell absorption. Half of all magic cast at them will simply vanish, absorbed harmlessly into their own magicka pool. And then, the price. They feel their natural regeneration, the tiny automatic trickle of magicka. Die. It slows to a crawl. the 50% magicka regeneration penalty kicks in. To a normal mage, this would be crippling. This would be a death sentence, forcing them to rely on endless expensive potions. But the Dragonborn is not a normal mage. The Dragonborn is a monster who has discovered the wait button. They can cast their bound bow, draining their new, massive pool. They can fight an entire battle, and when it's over they can stand still for one single, time-lapsed hour and be instantly, completely full. They have traded a debuff that is utterly meaningless to their playstyle for a god-tier defensive buff and a power source that would make a college archmage jealous. This is where the obscure lore tidbit lies. The Firmament book calls this constellation the Golem. It is not one of the guardian signs. It is in fact associated with raw, chaotic, unnatural magicka. Atronachs, the elemental Daedra summoned from oblivion, are beings of this same chaotic energy, bound into a form. By attuning to this stone, the Dragonborn is not just getting a buff. They are fundamentally aligning their own soul with this chaotic, elemental Daedric adjacent power. They are becoming, in a very real sense, part Atronach themselves. And this, of course, leads to the fan debate, the Atronach problem. The community discovered very quickly that spell absorption is buggy, in the best way possible. But it has one massive, hilarious downside. The game engine, in its wisdom, often classifies the player's own conjuration spells as, well, spells. This means that now, with 50% spell absorption, every time the Dragonborn tries to cast their shiny new bound bow, there is a 50% chance the spell will fail. It will be absorbed. It won't summon the bow. It will just poof, vanish, and refill their magicka. This is the ultimate cosmic irony. They sought the power to cast the spell, and the very power they gained prevents the spell from working. It's like buying a new high-performance car that, half the time you turn the key, just siphons its own gas back into the tank and then shuts off. But, as always, the community found the solution. The Dragonborn, a master of alteration from their gold ring smithing spree, can eventually take a perk, also called Atronach, which stacks with the stone, granting 100% spell absorption. This makes them completely immune to all magic in the game, and a very specific perk in the Conjuration tree negates the self-absorption failure. The Dragonborn standing in a toxic bog is already planning this. They are no longer a level 1 prisoner, they are a build theorist. They feel the chaotic, unstable power thrumming inside them. They have the weapon, they have the battery, they are at level 30-something a magical arrow-slinging, smithing mastermind. But it's still so much work. They have to draw the bow, they have to aim, they have all this power and they're still doing things manually. They need a servant, a minion, something to automate the killing. They need to level their conjuration skill not just for a bow, but for an Atronach. But how? How to level conjuration, a skill that only levels in combat without fighting 1,000 battles? The Dragonborn thinks back. They remember a dark, profoundly silly and slightly disturbing trick they read about in a forbidden forum. A trick that requires a horse, or, failing that, any dead body. And a spell, a very, very patient dead body. The Dragonborn stands in the hissing, sulphurous steam of the marsh, the Atronach Stone humming at their back. It is a cold, parasitic power, thrumming in their blood. They feel full. The 50 extra points of magicka and the 50% spell absorption have transformed them from a leaky bucket into a fortress. They are, of course, eager to test this. They focus, reaching for that now familiar angry knowledge of the bound bow. They pull. Fwoom! The Daedric weapon snaps into existence, its purple runes glowing with a hunger that matches their own. The sheer speed and solidity of it, now backed by a real magicka pool, is intoxicating. They draw the string, they aim at the corpse of the necromancer, face down in the mud. They release. Thoom! The corpse jumps, a small explosion of purple light and displaced mud. Excellent! The Dragonborn dismisses the bow, and then a flicker of doubt. They try to summon it again. They pull. F-zdoo. The familiar F-woom is replaced by a wet, disappointing plip. The purple energy flares, then immediately vanishes, sucked into the Dragonborn's own body. Their magicka, slightly depleted, flashes full. The Atronach Stone. The 50% spell absorption. The Dragonborn stares at their empty hand. They have become so magically defensive that they are now defending against themselves. The stone, in its chaotic wisdom, cannot tell the difference between a hostile fireball and a friendly fire demon bow. It just absorbs. It's a 50-50 coin flip. This is not power. This is comedy. This is a cosmic practical joke. This cannot stand. They know the solution. They have seen it in their level-up menus, in the constellations of their new burgeoning power. The Conjuration skill tree. There are perks that make summons stronger, last longer. And the community has long whispered, the higher your skill in Conjuration, the more control you have. The spell absorption failure, while always a risk, can be mitigated. More importantly, if they are to become a true master, they need other summons. They need Atronachs. They need Dremora Lords. They need an army. And to get an army, they need to grind. But how? Conjuration only levels up in combat. They would have to fight. Thousands of battles. They would have to cast their failing bound bow, or a cheap summon wolf, over and over and over, in real fights. It would take months. And then the Dragonborn remembers. They remember a dark, profoundly silly and borderline insane trick they'd once heard whispered in a tavern. A loophole. A bug that is so old, so reliable, it has become a feature. The trick requires a specific spell. A spell they do not have. Soul Trap. They check the corpse of the necromancer. No. Just some mouldy robes, an iron dagger, and 3 septims. Pathetic. They need a real wizard. A court wizard. They open their map. The Jarl's summons to Dragon's Reach. That little icon that has been patiently waiting since they first staggered out of Helgen. It's time. Foosh. The sulphur stench is gone. They are in Whiterun. Fendal, who has now been magically teleported across the continent 6 times, lands hard, his face a pale, sickly green. He looks like he's seriously questioning his allegiance to this manipulative, arrow-obsessed, travel-sickening friend. The Dragonborn claps him on the shoulder. Wait here, guard, this. They hand him a spare gold ring. The Dragonborn strides up the stone path past the newly opened stalls of the marketplace, up the winding stairs of the Cloud District, which they do get to, Nazim, and into the great, smoky, wood-beamed hall of Dragon's Reach. Jarl Belgruf the Greater is on his throne. Irileth, his Dunmer housecarl, stands beside him, her hand on her sword, and in the corner, surrounded by dusty books and arcane artifacts, is Farengar Secret Fire, the court wizard. The Jarl stands. I have been expecting you. The guards told me you... The Dragonborn walks right past him. They make a hard right, ignoring the Jarl of Whiterun, and stop at Farengar's desk. The Jarl, mid-sentence, just stops, his hand outstretched. He's utterly bewildered. Farengar looks up, a sneer of academic superiority on his face. Come to Dragon's Reach to study magic, have we? The Jarl's court wizard is not accustomed to taking on apprentices. The Dragonborn, who is now a level 35-ish Master Smith, Master Archer, and Master Alchemist in training, just stares. The sheer, unmitigated gall of this man. I need to purchase some spells, the Dragonborn says, their voice flat. Ah, of course, Farengar says, pulling out his ledger. I have a few simple tomes, sparks, flames, perhaps a clairvoyance spell for the directionally challenged. The Dragonborn scans the list, and there it is, tucked between Summon Familiar and Lesser Ward. Spell Tome, Soul Trap. I'll take that one. They buy the book. They absorb it. This knowledge is not hot like the bound bow. It is slimy. It is a cold, grasping, needy magic. They turn, and again, walk straight past the open-mouthed Jarl and out of Dragon's Reach. The main quest can wait. The fate of the world is, as always, a distant second to personal power. Whoosh. They are back in the marsh. Fendal, who is still holding the single gold ring, looks as if he's aged a year. The Dragonborn walks over to the body of the necromancer, still face down in the mud. This is the core in-game fact. The Soul Trap spell grants Conjuration experience when cast on a valid enemy target. The game, in its infinite, beautiful, broken wisdom, defines enemy as, well, anything you're in combat with, or anything that was an enemy when it died, and it forgets to check if the target is still alive. The Dragonborn holds out their hand. They cast Soul Trap at the corpse. Shree. A thin purple beam of energy lances out and strikes the dead body. A faint, ghostly shimmer plays over the necromancer's back. A message appears in the Dragonborn's vision. Conjuration increased. The corpse does not move. The soul presumably is long gone, already enjoying its eternal reward in whatever dark, horrible plane necromancers go to. But the game doesn't know that. The game just sees spellcast bless, valid target, and yes, experience. This is the corpse magic trick. This is the fan debate. What is happening? The community has joked for a decade that the Dragonborn is simply practicing their aim, that the Aedra are just so impressed with the effort that they are granting mastery. It is the magical equivalent of practicing CPR on a training dummy, and as a result becoming a world-renowned heart surgeon. It is without a doubt the most beautifully stupid exploit in the game, and now the Atronach Stone's flaw becomes its greatest strength. The Dragonborn casts Shri, Ding, Shri, Ding, Shri, Ding. Their massive magicka pool allows them to cast the cheap spell 50, 60, 70 times. Their conjuration skill flies up 25, 30, 40. Finally, their magicka runs dry. The 50% regeneration penalty means it would take 10 minutes to refill. The Dragonborn waits. They stand perfectly still. Wait, 1 hour. Instantly their magicka is 100% full. The loop begins. Cast, 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 wait. Cast, 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 wait. This is the obscure lore tidbit. The spell they are spamming is not just a spell. It is, according to books like Souls, Black and White, the very bedrock of necromancy. It is the art of ripping the animus, the divine spark, the soul, from a body and imprisoning it. It is considered by all sane, moral cultures to be a profound spiritual crime. The Dragonborn is standing in a toxic swamp, repeatedly violating the corpse of a man they just killed, and in doing so they are becoming a master of this dark art. The hours, then days, blur. The Dragonborn, Fendal, and this one, profoundly unlucky necromancer corpse, are locked in a silent purple-hued tableau. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It is done. The Dragonborn lowers their hand. Their mind is numb, but their soul is burning. They are on paper a master of conjuration. They have never successfully summoned an Atronach. They have never trapped a soul. They are a complete and total fraud, with all the perks. They open the skill tree. Click. Novice conjuration. Click. Apprentice conjuration. Click. Atromancy. Summons are 50% stronger. Click. Twin souls. You can have 2 summons at once. They are a god. They stand up, stretching their cramped muscles. The corpse of the necromancer seems to sigh in relief. The Dragonborn pulls. They cast Bound Bow. Fwoom! It snaps into existence, solid, permanent, and furious. The Atronach Stone tries to absorb it, but the Dragonborn's new 100-level skill overpowers it. The bow is theirs, but that's not the real test. They open their spell menu. They select a new spell they bought from Faendal just in case. Summon Frost Atronach. They cast. Grawl! The ground shakes. A column of ice and magic erupts from the marsh. The air supercools, frost spreading in a circle. A thing of stone and ice, 10 feet tall, its eyes are cold, blue fire, materializes. It turns its massive head, looks at the Dragonborn and waits. The Dragonborn casts again. Growl! Another one. They stand there, flanked by 2 silent, icy behemoths. They are holding a Daedric bow. They are a master smith. They are fabulously wealthy. They are still wearing rags. They have the power. They have the money. But they are tired of working for it. The mining, the smithing, it's so laborious. They need loot. Pure, effortless, endless loot. And they remember a rumour. A Khajiit caravan, a secret chest. A city in the cold, far north. Dawnstar. A chest that, the whispers say, never runs out. The Dragonborn stands in the centre of the sulphurous marsh, flanked by 2 towering, silent frost Atronachs. The twin golems are a testament to their new, fraudulent mastery of conjuration. They are a god dressed in rags, caked in mud, and still carrying about 50 pounds of gold rings. The absurdity of the situation is not lost on them. They have the power to summon an army. They have the skill to forge legendary armour, but they have no materials. They have no ebony ingots. They have no Daedra hearts. They are a master smith with nothing to smith. They have money, yes. Thousands of septims from their transmute loop. But money is work. Money requires shopping. It requires waiting for merchants to restock their pathetic, meagre supplies. The Dragonborn is beyond work. The Dragonborn is ready for theft. They dismiss their icy servants. The Atronachs shimmer, crack, and dissolve, returning to the freezing plane of oblivion they were ripped from, probably with a sigh of relief. The Dragonborn opens their map. Faendal, who's been standing silently this whole time, just braces himself. The destination, Dawnstar, a small, miserable port town on the northern coast clinging to the edge of the icy sea of ghosts. The Dragonborn had discovered the Windhelm stables. It's the closest fast travel point. The sulphur stench of the marsh is instantly gone, replaced by an air so cold it feels like breathing in needles. The wind screams, a high-pitched, relentless whine. This is the Pale. It is a land of ice, snow, and profound misery. They trudge northwest, through snowdrifts that reach their thighs. The world is a flat, blinding white expanse. After a long, cold walk, the town appears. Town is a generous word. Dawnstar is a handful of wooden shacks, a Jarl's longhouse, and a mine, all huddled around a tiny ice-choked harbour. It smells of fish and despair. As the Dragonborn enters, they see the core in-game fact of Dawnstar, or rather, the one they're about to ignore. The people look exhausted, their faces pale, their eyes ringed with darkness. A priest of Mara, a Dunmer named Erandur, is in the street trying to rally the townsfolk. The nightmares, they are a curse from the Daedric Prince Vermina. We must act. The Dragonborn walks right past him. They have zero interest in the town's nightmare curse. They are here for a different local legend. They are here for the Khajiit. They walk through the village, past the tavern, past the burned-down house, and head towards the Ironbreaker mine entrance, just outside the town proper. And there, huddled around a tiny, sputtering campfire, is the Khajiit caravan. Archery, the leader, Zainabi, and the warrior, Karjo. They are, as always, forced to camp outside the city walls, a testament to the Nord's casual, ingrained xenophobia. This one has wares, if you have coin, Archery purrs, her feline eyes appraising the Dragonborn's ragged armour. The Dragonborn ignores her. They ignore them all. They walk past the campfire, past the mine entrance, and over to a specific nondescript patch of snow and rocks. There is a scrawny, leafless bush. There are 3 rocks. There is nothing. This is the place. The Dragonborn crouches. They stare, not at the rocks, not at the bush, but at the seam between 2 of the rocks. They wiggle. They aim their cursor at a patch of empty, snowy ground, and then a miracle. A prompt appears in their vision. Search chest. A slow, wolfish grin spreads across the Dragonborn's face. The legends are true. This is the fan debate. It is, without question, a bug. This chest is Archery's merchant inventory. It was supposed to be stored in a developer cell, an invisible, inaccessible room under the world where merchant assets are kept when they're not loaded. But some sleepy, underpaid developer misplaced it, leaving it just high enough in the world's geometry that its lid clips through the terrain. It is a literal hole in the matrix. It is a tear in the fabric of reality caused by sloppy coding, and the Dragonborn is about to rip it wide open. They open the chest. It is everything. It is not a bandit's stash of 3 septims and a ruined book. It is a full merchant inventory. There are hundreds, sometimes thousands of septims. There are enchanted weapons of every description. Swords, maces, bows, all glowing with fire, frost, or soul-trapping magic. There is enchanted armour, shields, helmets, boots, gauntlets. There are ingots, iron, steel, and, yes, ebony ingots. There are soul gems, dozens of them, petty, lesser, common, greater, and grand. And there, glowing with a dull, malevolent light, Daedra hearts. The Dragonborn's heart pounds. This is it. This is the jackpot. They take everything. They loot it dry. The chest is empty. Their inventory, and Faendal's, who was summoned with a whistle, is now overflowing. They are clanking not with gold rings, but with high-level enchanted steel, ebony, and the spiritual batteries of 1,000 dead creatures. But the chest is empty. This is a one-time treasure. This is not limitless. The Dragonborn stands up. They look over at Archery, who is still purring by the fire, unaware that her entire worldly inventory has just vanished into a parallel dimension via a crack in the rocks. This is where the true exploit begins. The Dragonborn walks over to the Khajiit caravan. They stand directly in front of Archery. The world shimmers as they perform a quick save. Then they draw their bound bow. Phoom. What is that? Archery begins, her eyes widening in terror. Thoom. The Daedric arrow hits her square in the chest. She's blown backwards, dead before she hits the snow. The guards in Dawnstar 100 yards away are instantly apoplectic. Murder! By the gods, someone's been killed! Kharjo and Zainabi draw their scimitars and charge, screaming for vengeance. The Dragonborn does not move. They wait for the chaos to register. And then they quidclode. The world snaps back. Whoosh. Archery is standing by the fire, unharmed, her paws outstretched. This one has wares if you have coin. She has no memory of her own brutal, instantaneous murder. The Dragonborn, without a word, turns and walks back to the magic rocks. They crouch. They aim at the empty patch of ground. Search chest. It is full. The gold is back. The enchanted items have re-rolled. The ebony ingots are back. The Daedra hearts are back. The game engine, in its beautiful broken logic, has a rule. When a merchant's hostility is reset by loading a save, their inventory is also reset, and since this chest is her inventory, it resets too. This is where the obscure lore tidbit becomes so delicious. The Khajiit do not just value trade, they revere it. Their pantheon includes a god, Azis, the god of commerce, who values cleverness, profit, and a knack for the plausible. The Khajiit believe the pursuit of Azis is a holy calling. The Dragonborn, crouched in the snow, repeatedly murdering and resurrecting a catwoman to rob her invisible, underground bank, is, by this definition, the most devout, most perfect Khajiit who has ever lived. They are performing a dark, temporal-bending ritual in the name of pure, unadulterated profit. A new, truly psychotic loop begins. Loot the chest, stand up, walk to Archery, quick save, shoot the cat, quick load, loot the chest. The Dragonborn does this for hours. The sun sets, the sun rises. The people of Dawnstar have their nightmares, unaware of the Groundhog Day horror movie unfolding just outside their gates. The Dragonborn is no longer just rich. They are post-wealth. They are an economy. They have an infinite, unending supply of every valuable, high-end item in the game. Their pockets are overflowing with hundreds of enchanted items, weapons of banishing, armour of fortify health, boots of muffling, helmets of water breathing. They look at the mountain of magical loot. Their smithing is a 100. They now have endless ebony and Daedra hearts. They can, at last, forge their Daedric armour. But what to do with all these other items? They could sell them, but that's work. A new, colder, more calculating thought enters their mind. An arcane enchanter's table, a process called Disenchanting. They don't just have to use these items, they can destroy them. They can learn their secrets. They can level enchanting. The Dragonborn is an economic typhoon. They are a one-person disaster zone, kneeling in the snow surrounded by a pile of ebony Daedric hearts and enchanted weapons that would make a king's armoury look like a yard sale. Fendal, their long-suffering pack mule, is probably just a vibrating pillar of over-encumbered misery at this point. The murder and resurrect Archery loop has become a dull, psychotic rhythm, the soundtrack to their ascension. They have infinite wealth. They have infinite raw materials. They have master-level smithing, conjuration, and archery. But this new loot, this endless sea of enchanted items, it presents a new, tantalizing opportunity. They are using magical items, but they are not making them. They are a consumer, not a creator. And for a soul as fundamentally megalomaniacal as the Dragonborn's, this is an unacceptable state of affairs. They need to learn the final, ultimate craft. They need to master enchanting. They haul their impossible burden, Fendal dutifully clanking behind them, into the town of Dawnstar. The villagers, their faces pale and haunted by Vermina's nightmare curse, give the Dragonborn a wide berth. They probably look like a walking, clattering junkyard, led by a small green elf who's audibly groaning. They don't go to the inn, they don't go to the Jarl, They walk into the Jarl's longhouse, the White Hall, as if they own it. Jarl Skoll the Elder, a cranky ancient Nord, shouts at them. "What's the meaning of this? State your business or—" The Dragonborn ignores him, just as they ignored Jarl Balgruuf. They have a one-track mind, and it is not on destiny or politics, it is on power. They stalk past the throne, past the fire pit, and into the Jarl's personal chambers. And there it is, tucked in the corner, glowing with a faint purple-black energy, an arcane enchanter, a table carved with the runes of power, a skull grinning from its centre. This is the core in-game fact of the enchanting skill. You cannot learn to enchant from a book, you cannot pay a trainer, you can only learn by destroying. The Dragonborn, with the Jarl of Dawnstar probably screaming at them from the next room, unloads their first bag of loot onto the floor. It is a pile of junk-tier enchanted iron, steel and leather, all sourced from the magical rock outside. They pick up the first item, Iron Dagger of Embers. They place it on the table. They disenchant. Shriek, crack! The dagger shatters into 1,000 pieces. A ribbon of fiery orange light leaps from the shards, flows into the Dragonborn's hands and settles in their mind. Fire damage learned. Their enchanting skill, a lowly 15, leaps to 20. They pick up the next item, Leather Boots of Muffling. Shriek-crack. The boots are reduced to ash. Muffling learned. Skill up to 25. Hide Helmet of Water Breathing. Shriek-crack. Skill 28. Steel Sword of Soul Snares. Shriek-crack. Skill 32. Amulet of Fortify Health. Shriek-crack. Skill 35. It is a feeding. Frenzy. The Dragonborn is a wood chipper, and the enchanted loot is an endless forest. They run through their first hall, they go back to the rocks. Loot, save, kill, load, loot. They return to the Jarl's bedroom, a fresh Santa sack of magical items over their shoulder, and the wood chipper whirs to life again. Fortify one-handed, fortify smithing, banish Daedra, paralyze. In the space of a single deafening afternoon, the Dragonborn learns every single base game enchantment. They have, through systematic repetitive destruction, become the most knowledgeable enchanter in Tamriel. Their skill is 70, 80, 85, but it stops. Disenchanting, the fast track, is over. To reach 100, they must create. And this is where the obscure lore tidbit becomes so chillingly relevant. What is enchanting? In-game books like A Tragedy in Black and The Secrets of Soul Gems are very clear. It is not just adding magic, it is the act of imprisoning a soul. The soul gem is a prison, the item is the body, the enchantment is the task the soul is forced to perform over and over for eternity. When the Dragonborn's fiery soul trap bow runs out of charge, it's because the soul inside it has been burned away to nothing. It is, by any definition, a dark, necromantic, and profoundly cruel art. The Dragonborn, of course, is thrilled. They have everything they need. Items to enchant. Their smithing is 100. They can churn out thousands of iron daggers, or better yet, they can use the thousands of gold rings they still have from their transmute loop. They are a one-person item factory. Souls to imprison, the Archery chest. It didn't just have items. It had hundreds of filled soul gems. Petty, lesser, common, greater and grand. An endless, rechargeable supply of trapped screaming souls. The Dragonborn sits at the enchanter. The skull grins at them. The final grind begins. They take a gold ring. They select the banished Daedra enchantment, known by the community to give the highest experience. They select a grand soul gem, which contains the largest, most sentient soul. Fwoosh clang. A gold ring of banishment is created. The ring is now worth 2,000 septims. The enchanting skill bar jumps. They do it again. Ring, banish, grand soul. Fwoosh clang, ding, and again. Ring, banish, grand soul. Fwoosh clang, ding, and again, and again. The 15% boost from the Lover Stone is humming, accelerating the process. The Jarl has probably given up and gone to bed, his sleep haunted by the endless repetitive whoosh clang of a madman in his bedroom, forging an arsenal of anti-demon jewellery. 90, 95, 98, 99, 100. It is done. The Dragonborn is a master enchanter. And now, the two skills combine. This is the fan debate. The legendary crafting loop. Is this an exploit or the intended reward for god-level mastery? The community agrees. It's the point. Step 1. The Dragonborn is at the enchanter. They take a set of basic armor, a helmet, a pair of gloves, an amulet, and a ring. They enchant all of them with Fortify Smithing using their 100 skill and grand souls. Step 2. They put on their new smithing suit. Their smithing skill, already 100, is now effectively 250. Step 3. They walk to a forge. They take a Daedric bow, forged from the ebony and Daedra hearts from the Archery chest. They improve it at the workbench. The bow's stats break. The damage value climbs to a number that is simply stupid. It is a weapon that can one-shot a dragon. Step 4. The final glorious overkill. They take their new, legendary, stupid Daedric bow back to the enchanter. Step 5. They apply 2 enchantments, thanks to the extra effect perk. They add fire damage and fiery soul trap. The Dragonborn holds it, a black spiked bow of Daedric metal, humming with the power of 3 imprisoned grand souls. It is a weapon that hits like a siege engine, sets the target on fire, and automatically recharges itself by sucking in the soul of its victim. It is the perfect, self-sustaining killing machine. The Dragonborn is a god. They have the ultimate offense. They have infinite money. They have an army of Atronachs. They are still a glass cannon. They are wearing their smithing suit, which has all the defensive power of a silk shirt. They have the Atronach Stone, which absorbs 50% of magic, but that other 50%, it hurts. A lucky arrow, a single blow from a giant, and they are dead. They have mastered offense, they have mastered utility. Now they must master defense. They remember their journey, they remember the stones. They need armor, not magical armor, cosmic armor. North of Whiterun, high on a desolate windy cliff, the Lord Stone. The Dragonborn stands in the Jarl of Dawnstar's private chambers, a place they have defiled with the psychic residue of 1,000 murders, resurrections, and acts of spiritual slavery. The arcane enchanter hums quietly, its skull visage seemingly grinning in approval. The Dragonborn is holding their creation, the perfect bow. It is a legendary Daedric masterpiece, forged from the heart of a demon and the blackest ebony, and it hums with the tortured, imprisoned souls of 3 separate beings, all forced to burn, damage, and trap for eternity. They are, by any definition, a god of craft, a god of conjuration, a god of archery. They are also, by any definition, a glass cannon. They are still wearing, what are they wearing? A hodgepodge of enchanted civilian clothes, a ring of Fortify Smithing, an amulet of Fortify Smithing, a pair of gloves of Fortify Smithing. They look less like a hero of destiny and more like a high fantasy obsessive-compulsive mechanic. This is a problem. Their new bow can one-shot a dragon. Their twin frost Atronachs can hold a gate against an army. But a single, lucky bandit arrow, a swing from a Draga Deathlord, they will shatter like a dropped bottle of Nazim's expensive wine. The Atronach Stone, which they have relied on, is a gambler's defense. 50% of the time it makes them immune. The other 50% of the time, a fireball to the face is still a fireball to the face. They need something constant, something passive. They need armor. They could, of course, simply make it. They have the 100 smithing. They have the infinite ebony and Daedra hearts from the Archery chest. They could right now forge a full set of legendary Daedric armor and then enchant it with Fortify Health until they have the constitution of a small mountain. And they will. But even that, to the Dragonborn's new power-obsessed mind, it's not enough. It's a suit. It's mundane. They need a base. They need a blessing from the stars themselves. They open their map. The cold, chaotic energy of the Atronach Stone still hums in their veins, but it feels unreliable. It's the power of a lunatic. They need the power of a king. They remember the legends of the other stones. High in the snowy peaks of the Pale between Dawnstar and Whiterun stands a monolith, a stone of pure, unyielding defence, the Lord Stone. They fast travel not to Whiterun but to Halted Stream Camp, the site of their first great criminal enterprise. Whoosh. The smell of fish and snow is gone, replaced by the familiar crisp air of the tundra. Faendal, who has just been teleported across the map again, probably throws up in a bush. They are in the plains of Whiterun Hold, but their destination is north, up, into the mountains that separate the central plains from the northernmost coast. The Dragonborn begins to walk. The climb is steep. The tundra grass gives way to hard, frozen earth, and then to deep, powdery snow. The wind picks up a steady, whining howl that rips the heat from their body. This is the domain of the giants, and as if summoned by the thought, they see it. A plume of smoke from a massive circular campfire. 2 giants, their skin like cracked leather, their bodies draped in massive furs, are lazed around the fire. Their mammoths, 2 great shaggy beasts, stomp and huff in a primitive stone pen. This is the core in-game fact of the giant. They are the unofficial bouncers of Skyrim. They are the game's way of saying, you are small, you are weak, do not come here. A single, casual backhanded swing from their massive rune-carved clubs is not a hit. It is a launch. It is an instant, unsurvivable, ragdoll physics-inducing trip to the stratosphere. The Dragonborn, now level 40-something, a master of 3 skills, a demigod of power, scoffs. Glass cannon, they whisper to themselves. Let's test the cannon part. They crouch. They draw their new perfect bow. The black spiky limbs creak, the imprisoned souls inside screaming as they are drawn taut. They aim at the nearest giant, a massive, sleepy-looking creature. The Dragonborn aims for the head. Thome! The arrow crosses the distance in a blur. It hits the giant in the face with the force of a small car. The creature's head snaps back. It stumbles. It looks annoyed. It raises its head, its tiny piggy eyes fixing on the Dragonborn's distant snowy hiding spot. It lets out a bellow, a sound that shakes the snow from the trees, and then it charges. It moves with a terrifying, loping, ground-eating stride. The Dragonborn, suddenly realizing their horrifying miscalculation, fumbles another arrow. Thoom! It hits the giant in the chest. The giant does not slow down. It is perhaps 50 yards away. The Dragonborn turns to run, their fortified smithing boots slipping in the snow. They are not fast enough. The world becomes a blur of fur, leather, and a tree trunk-sized club rising to blot out the grey sky. Whoosh! And then peace. The Dragonborn is suddenly, inexplicably, a mile in the air. They can see all of Skyrim, the throat of the world, Whiterun, Winterhold. It is beautiful. They are spinning, a graceful, silent ragdoll ballet. And then gravity reasserts itself. The ground rushes up. Splat. Load last save. Whoosh. The Dragonborn is back, kneeling in the snow, the bow not yet fired. Their heart is pounding. The Atronach Stone's 50% absorption is useless. The Giant's Club is not, by any definition, magic. Right, the Dragonborn mutters, their voice shaking. Plan B. This time, they do not draw the bow. They hold out their hands. Gruul. Their 2 frost Atronachs erupt from the snow, icy engines of destruction. Go! The Dragonborn commands. The 2 golems charge the camp. The giant, seeing a more immediate and more equal threat, roars and meets them. The boom of the giant's club against the Atronach's icy hides is a percussive, deafening sound. The mammoths trumpet in panic. While the battle rages, while their minions are tanking the damage, the Dragonborn from a very safe distance begins their work. Thoom, an arrow. Thoom, another. Thoom, a third. The giant is a pincushion. It is confused, enraged, and fighting on 2 fronts. It finally swings its club, shattering one of the frost Atronachs into 1,000 pieces of ice. But it is too late. The Dragonborn's arrows, each one a miniature siege bolt, have done their work. The giant stumbles, sags, and collapses, crushing its own campfire. The Dragonborn, breathing heavily, lowers the bow. The second frost Atronach, its duty done, just stands there, steaming in the cold. Lesson learned. Power is not about one-shotting. It's about not getting hit. They need the Lord Stone. Now. They continue the climb. The path is narrow, treacherous. The wind is so loud it's a physical weight. And then they see it. On the very crest of the mountain, a single, sharp monolith, stark against the grey racing clouds. They are still attuned to the Atronach Stone. They can feel its chaotic 50-50 static. They reach out and touch the Lord Stone. The Atronach's power is purged. It doesn't fade, it is expelled like a disease. In its place, a new sensation. It is not hot like the bound bow. It is not cold like the Atronach. It is heavy. It is a feeling of solidity, a profound, core-deep sense of weight. Lord Stone added, +150 armor rating, +125% magic resistance. This is the obscure lore tidbit. The firmament calls this constellation the Lord. His season is first seed, the planting of spring. But in Skyrim, he is the Lord of the North, the spirit of endurance. He is not a god of fighting like the warrior. He is a god of surviving. By taking this blessing, the Dragonborn is not just getting a buff. They are aligning their soul with the very concept of Nordic resilience. They are cosmically tougher. And the fan debate. Lord versus Atronach. The Atronach is for pure mages who can manage the region debuff. But for a hybrid, a warrior, a spell sword, the Lord is king. That 50 armor is at low levels the equivalent of a full set of steel armor. But the 25% magic resistance, that is the prize. This stacks. It stacks with the 30% from the alteration perks. It stacks with the 15% from the Agent of Mara quest. It stacks with enchanted gear. The Dragonborn can, with this stone as a baseline, easily reach the 85% magic cap, making them effectively immune to all magic. They have traded a coin flip for a permanent passive 25% reduction in all magic damage. The Dragonborn stands on the peak. The wind howls, but it doesn't seem to bite as hard. They feel solid. They are a fortress. They are a master of all crafts. They have an army on command. They have a divine, invisible shield. They are almost complete, but they still look stupid. They are dressed in pajamas. They have a god bow, but no armor. They need a look. They need something unique. They remember on their mad horse ride, a ruined fort, a place where bandits, it was said, were using a special forge, a forge that only worked under the light of the moons, a place called Silent Moon's Camp. The Dragonborn stands on the roof of the world, a new, heavy stillness in their soul. The Lord Stone has purged the chaotic static of the Atronach, replacing it with a sensation of pure, unyielding weight. The wind that howls across this desolate peak is no longer a threat. It is just noise. It rips at their fortify smithing cloth gloves, but the 50-point armor blessing and the 25% magic resistance are a suit of invisible, cosmic armor. They are a fortress, a master craftsman, a walking bank, an arch-conjurer. They are a god dressed in pajamas. They look down at their ridiculous hodgepodge outfit of enchanted civilian clothes. It is practical, yes. It allows them to forge weapons that can kill dragons. But it is, frankly, embarrassing. They could fast travel to Whiterun, they could walk to the forge, and with their infinite supply of ebony and Daedra hearts from the Dawnstar chest, craft a full suit of legendary Daedric armor. They could enchant it until they were, by all metrics, immortal. But that's so boring. It's so obvious. Any mastersmith can do that. The Dragonborn is not just a master. They are a connoisseur. They're a power gaming hipster. They don't want the armor everyone else has. They want something artisanal, something unique. They remember the rumors, a bandit camp just northwest of Whiterun, that they had thundered past on their stolen horse, Silent Moon's Camp. The whispers said the bandits there weren't just common thugs. They had a special forge, a forge that didn't use fire or souls or even Daedric blood, a forge that used the light of the moons. This is the kind of pretentious boutique-level nonsense the Dragonborn craves. They open their map. Whoosh! They materialise outside the Whiterun gates, the familiar smell of tundra cotton and horse manure filling their lungs. Faendal, who is now just a walking, clattering collection of enchanted junk and psychological trauma, lands beside them with a wet thud. The Dragonborn doesn't even enter the city. They turn north, walking with a new, confident stride. They are not fleeing Helgen. They are not sneaking to Riverwood. They are striding to their next acquisition. The camp is a short walk. It's a typical ruin. A few crumbling stone towers, a central circle of broken rock, and of course bandits. A lookout perched on a high wall spots them. "Hey you, you're not supposed to be here, get him!" An arrow sings through the air. The Dragonborn, in a test of their new power, lets it hit them. Plink. The iron arrow, which hours ago would have been a lethal threat, bounces off the invisible 50-point shield of the Lord Stone. It stings. It is perhaps the most annoying thing that has happened to them all day, but it is not damage. The Dragonborn smiles. The glass cannon era is over. My turn. This is not a job for stealth. This is not a panicky, arrow-based plinking match. This is a test. This is an unveiling. The Dragonborn holds out both hands. Their twin souls perk, bought with the blood, sweat, and repetitive motion injury of the corpse magic trick, flares to life. Growl! The ground shakes. 2 columns of ice and magic erupt from the tundra floor, right in front of the bandit barricade. The bandits, who were expecting 1 raggedy-looking traveller, stop dead. 2 10-foot-tall frost Atronachs, their eyes a cold blue fire, turn their massive rocky heads towards the camp. By the gods! A conjurer! Run! The bandits scatter, but it's too late. The Atronachs charge, their steps shaking the earth. The Dragonborn, meanwhile, has not moved. They calmly unhook their perfect bow from their back. They draw the string. The black Daedric limbs creak, the imprisoned souls inside screaming for release. This is not a fight. This is an execution. The Atronachs are the anvil. The Dragonborn is the hammer. The bandit chief, a large orc in heavy steel armour, raises his battle axe to meet the first Atronach. Thoom! The Dragonborn's arrow, wreathed in fire and soul-trapping energy, hits the orc in the back. He disintegrates, his soul ripped from his exploding body and sucked screaming into the bow's waiting soul gem. The bow is recharged. An archer on the tower draws on the Dragonborn. Thoom! The archer is blown from the tower, a comet of flame and Daedric energy. Another bandit, a dual-wielding redguard, tries to flank the second Atronach. Thoom! It is over in 10 seconds. The camp is silent save for the crackle of burning bodies and the low, icy hum of the 2 victorious Atronachs, who just stand there, waiting for their next order. The Dragonborn didn't even get their clothes dirty. This is power. They dismiss their minions. The Atronachs dissolve, and the Dragonborn strolls into the camp to claim their prize. They find it on the highest, most exposed point of the ruin, the Lunar Forge. It is indeed special. It is a forge, but it's open. Strange curved channels are carved into the stone, all aimed at the sky, as if to catch something. And on a workbench they find the obscure lore tidbit, a book. Notes on the Lunar Forge. The Dragonborn reads it. It's the rambling, half-mad diary of the bandit wizard who built this place. He was convinced he could bypass cruel, soul gem enchanting. He believed he could channel the pure, cool light of Secunda and Massa directly into the steel. His notes speak of a lunar fire, a cold burning that only activates at night. And there they are, lying on weapon racks, a lunar iron mace, a lunar steel sword, a lunar war axe. They are beautiful. They are standard weapons, but they glow. A faint, pale, silvery blue light, like a trapped aurora, dances along their edges. The Dragonborn picks one up. It hums, cold to the touch. This is it. This is their unique, artisanal, non-Daedric arsenal. The Dragonborn, giddy with their discovery, finds a chair. And they wait. They wait for the sun to set. The twin. Moons rise, fat and white in the night sky. The glow on the weapons intensifies. It's working. The forge is working. A sound. A growl. A lone, mangy wolf drawn by the smell of the slaughter pads into the camp. It snarls, its eyes fixed on the Dragonborn. Perfect, the Dragonborn whispers. They sheathe their god bow. They draw the glowing, moon-kissed lunar steel sword. The wolf lunges. The Dragonborn swings. The sword connects. The wolf yelps. And that's it. The Dragonborn frowns. They swing again. The wolf yelps and bites the Dragonborn on the shin. The Dragonborn, deeply, personally insulted, just punches the wolf, killing it instantly. They stand there in the moonlight, looking at the glowing sword. It's glowing. It's supposed to be burning the wolf with lunar fire, but it's not. And here we find the fan debate, the infamous Silent Moon's enchantment bug. For a decade, the community has argued, why isn't this working? It only works on some enemies. It's just a really low chance. The truth for the original release of the game is far more hilarious. It's broken. The enchantment script doesn't work. The bandit wizard died creating a forge that makes placebo weapons. They are functionally just regular steel swords with a really cool, built-in nightlight. They are decorations. The Dragonborn, a master enchanter who can forge a blade that eats souls, is standing here in the middle of a corpse-filled bandit camp holding a sparkler. They are disgusted. The insult. They came all this way for fraud. They drop the lunar sword, the clatter of it hitting the stone echoing with a note of finality. This unique gear is trash. They need real unique gear, not a self-made boring Daedric suit, not a broken glowing piece of bandit junk. They need armour that is legendary, armour that is functional, armour that is earned. They're a master of stealth, in theory. They're a master archer. They are above all a master of acquisition. Their mind turns south, to the golden forests of the Rift, to the city of canals and crime. Rifton. They've heard the stories of a guild for people exactly like them. And this guild, the stories say, gives its members a uniform, a suit of enchanted armour, perfectly balanced, fortify archery, fortify lockpicking, fortify sneak. It's not just armour, it's a job description. The Dragonborn is done with failed experiments. They are going to Rifton. They are going to join the Thieves Guild. The lunar sword, its pathetic placebo glow mocking him, hits the stony ground of Silent Moon's camp with a dull, final clank. The Dragonborn is offended. They are a god of craft, a master of souls, and they have been tricked by the ghost of an incompetent bandit wizard. The artisanal unique route is a dead end. They are done with toys. They are done with experiments. They need a uniform. They open their map. The cold, chaotic energy of the Atronach Stone is long gone. The heavy, solid weight of the Lord Stone feels like a permanent cosmic ballast. They look south, far, far south, to the golden autumnal gleam of the Rift. The icon for the Rifton stables, discovered what feels like a lifetime ago on their stolen horse, shines like a beacon. Whoosh. The cold, dry air of the northern tundra is gone. The Dragonborn materialises in a fog of gold and orange leaves. The air here is damp. It is heavy. It smells of wet wood, decaying leaves, honey mead, and beneath it all a faint sour tang of old fish and desperation. This is Rifton. The city is a network of canals and wooden boardwalks, its foundations sinking slowly into the dark, cold waters of Lake Honric. It is, by all accounts, a wretched hive of scum and villainy. The Dragonborn feels immediately at home. They stride toward the main gate, their god bow on their back, their twin Atronach summons just a thought away. A guard, his face pinched, steps out. Halt. New in town. Before you enter, you've got to pay the visitor's tax. The Dragonborn, who is currently carrying enough enchanted loot and solid gold to buy the city of Rifton, just stares. The audacity, the sheer, petty, small-time graft. This isn't a tax. This is a shakedown. The Dragonborn, who has just finished a multi-hour loop of murdering and resurrecting a Khajiit to rob her interdimensional bank, is being shaken down by a man in tin armour. The irony is delicious. They could intimidate, they could persuade, but they just sigh, the sound lost in the wind. Here, they drop 100 septims on the ground, not even bothering to hand it to him. The guard, flustered, scoops it up. Right, welcome to Rifton. The Dragonborn enters the marketplace. It's bustling, a central well, vendors shouting, and a man, a Nord, with fiery red hair, a sneer, and a voice like velvet-wrapped gravel. He's leaning against a stall and his eyes somehow find the Dragonborn instantly. "Never done an honest day's work in your life, have you, lass?" he says. Or lad. It doesn't matter. He knows. Maybe it's the pyjamas. Maybe it's the fact that the Dragonborn is radiating the energy of 1,000 murdered souls and a broken economy. This is Brynjolf, and this is the core in-game fact. He has a job, a test, a chance arrangement. He needs a distraction. He needs the Dragonborn to plant a stolen ring on an innocent man. The target, Medici, the Argonian jeweller, the patsy, Branchet, the quiet, bookish Dunmer merchant in the next stall. The Dragonborn, a master of everything, finds this request almost insulting. It is amateur hour, but they need the armour, they need the uniform, so they play along. "I'm in." Brynjolf grins. That's the spirit. He stands up and begins his diversion, a loud, obnoxious snake oil salesman speech about a new kind of mead. The crowd, as gullible as Faendal, gathers around him. The Dragonborn crouches. Their sneak skill is a pathetic 15. They are terrible at this. They are effectively a walking clattering tank dressed in enchanted pyjamas attempting stealth. It shouldn't work, but it does. They slide behind Medesi's stall. The lockbox is novice level. For the Dragonborn, who's been picking locks since Helgen, it's not even a puzzle. Click. They open it. They take the silver ring. They slide like a particularly clumsy shadow over to Branche's stall. They open his lockbox. Click. They drop the ring inside. They stand up, dust off their smithing gloves and watch. Brynjolf wraps up his speech. The guards, as if summoned, march in. "We've had a report. Branche, that's his strongbox." They open it. They find the ring. Branche is justifiably confused. "What? I've never seen that in my life." "Tell it to the Jarl," the guard sneers, dragging the Dunmer away, his protest fading. "I've been framed. Framed." And this is the fan debate. Why Branche? He is, by all accounts, one of the only good people in Rifton. He's a famously moral merchant, an orphan just trying to find the lost history of his noble Dunmer house. The community has long argued, is this the real test? Is Brynjolf testing the Dragonborn's morality? To see if they have the cold-blooded pragmatism to ruin an innocent man for profit? The Dragonborn feels absolutely nothing. They have spent the last 40 levels of their existence acting with a level of sociopathic exploitative greed that would make a Daedric prince blush. They are not here for morality, they are here for pants. Brynjolf gives them a subtle nod. Not bad at all, you've got the touch. He pays them their meagre fee. If you want more and better work, find me in the Ratway, ask for the ragged flagon. The Dragonborn finds the Ratway. It is literally a hole, a door under the city leading into the old collapsed sewers. The smell is a physical assault, a miasma of stagnant water, filth, and something coppery. It's a maze of rotting wood, slime-covered stone, and the desperate territorial lowlifes who call it home. Lowlifes is a polite term for target practice. The Dragonborn, done with stealth, summons their twin frost Atronachs. The 10-foot-tall ice golems materialise in the narrow claustrophobic sewer tunnel, their icy light filling the darkness. The lowlifes don't stand a chance. The Dragonborn just follows their minions, their godbow out, picking off any survivors. It's not a delve, it's an extermination. They find the ragged flagon. It's a tavern built into the cistern, a wretched, dripping, yet somehow cosy den of thieves. Brynjolf is there, leaning against a pillar. He introduces them to Mercer Frey, the guildmaster, a man who radiates arrogance. Mercer, unimpressed, gives them their real initiation, taking care of business. They are to go back to the surface and shake down the 3 merchants who've stopped paying their dues to the guild. Kirava at the inn, Bercy Honeyhand at the pawnshop, Helga at the bunkhouse. The Dragonborn, now on a mission, is a model of brutal efficiency. They go to Kirava. She refuses. The Dragonborn sees her prized sacred statue of Dibella. They punch it. It shatters. Kirava, horrified, pays. They go to Bercy. He refuses. The Dragonborn sees his priceless, one-of-a-kind Dwemer urn. They hit it with their bound bow. It explodes. Bercy, terrified, pays. They go to Helga. She refuses. The Dragonborn sees her statue of Dibella, the one she uses for her unique forms of worship. They punch it. Helga, strangely impressed, pays. This is where the obscure lore tidbit lies. As they were threatening these merchants, they might have noticed the shadow marks. Small carved symbols near the doors, a circle and triangle, safe, an X, danger, a half-empty square, loot. The Thieves Guild has its own language, written on the walls of every city in Skyrim. The Dragonborn, by doing this, isn't just joining a gang. They are learning to read the true map of the world. They return to the flagon, their pockets heavier. Brynjolf is beaming. You've got a gift, lass. A real talent for negotiation. He motions them over to Tanelia, the guild's armourer. You're one of us now. Time you look the part. This is it. Tanelia, with a bored expression, slides a bundle of dark leather across the counter. Welcome to the family. The Dragonborn, trying to contain their glee, finds a dark corner. They equip the items. The smithing pyjamas vanish. They are now clad in a form-fitting suit of dark, grey-brown leather. A hood that shadows their face. A chest piece, crossed with straps. Boots that feel light. Gloves that feel deft. And the enchantments. The hood. Fortify archery. Their perfect bow just became perfect-er. The gloves. Fortify lockpicking. The boots. Muffling. They take a step. Silence. The heavy cosmic thud of the Lord Stone is gone. They are a walking, silent 100-ton shadow, the chess piece. Fortify carry weight. The Dragonborn stands there, a dark, hooded, and utterly silent figure. They are a master smith, a master enchanter, a master conjurer, and a master archer. They are defended by a divine shield. They command an army of demons. They are infinitely wealthy, and now they finally look the part. This armour, it's good. It's really good. But the Dragonborn, a 100-level enchanter, looks at the Fortify lockpicking enchantment. They look at the Fortify carry weight. This is junk, they whisper. I can do so much better. They love the look, but they will make their own. They have the armour, they have the skill. They just need one more thing, a shout. They have in all this time completely forgotten the one thing that makes them the Dragonborn. They haven't killed a dragon. They haven't absorbed a soul. They haven't learned a single word of power. They remember Jarl Balgruuf, Faendal, the warning about Helgen, the quest, a place called Bleak Barrow. It's time. It's finally time to start the main quest, not to save the world, but to get that first, sweet, delicious shout. The Dragonborn stands in the dripping, moss-covered cistern of the Ragged Flagon, a dark and silent silhouette. The Thieves' Guild armour fits like a second skin, the dark leather muffling their every movement, the hood casting their face in a permanent, intimidating shadow. They look the part. They look like a master of the shadows, a creature of the night. They are, of course, deeply, personally disappointed. They run a hand over the chess piece. Fortify carry weight. 20 points. 20. Their smithing pyjamas, which they are still carrying in a bag, one never knows, give them 50. The hood. Fortify archery. 15%. Their perfect bow already hits with the force of a divine judgment. 15% is a rounding error. The gloves. Fortify lockpicking. The boots. Muffling. This is children's gear. This is a pre-packaged, my first stealth archer kit. The Dragonborn, a 100-level master enchanter who can stack 2 enchantments, who can forge a suit that grants them the health of a giant and the magicka of a god, is wearing this. But the look, the aesthetic, it's perfect. A new, final plan forms. They will keep this armour. They will take it to the forge. They will improve it with their 250-level smithing, turning this simple leather into an armour with the defensive rating of solid ebony. And then, they will take it to the enchanter. They will destroy this set, learn its unique visual style, a fan theory that, alas, isn't mechanically possible, but the Dragonborn believes it, and then rebuild it. They will forge their own guild armour, and they will enchant it with Fortify Archery 40% and Fortify Sneak 40%. Or maybe Fortify One-Handed and banish Daedra, just for the sheer, confusing-to-lore audacity of it. They are a god of craft. They are a god of combat. They are a god of finance. They are, in every conceivable metric, a master of this universe. And then, a thought. A small, nagging, persistent thought. They have, in all this time, in all their pursuit of smithing, enchanting, alchemy via gold rings, and interdimensional cat murder, completely and utterly forgotten why they are here. The dragon, Alduin, the execution, they are the Dragonborn, and they have not done a single Dragonborn thing. They have not killed a dragon, they have not absorbed a soul, and they have not learned a single solitary shout. This is an oversight. This is a gap in the resume. This is unacceptable. They remember the Jarl of Whiterun, Balgruuf, the man they so rudely ignored. They remember his wizard, Farengar, the man they only spoke to in order to buy the soul trap spell for their corpse-grinding session. They remember the quest, the one they were given, what feels like a year ago. Go to Bleak Barrow, Farengar had said. Retrieve the Dragonstone. The Dragonborn, clad in silent leather, their god bow on their back, their twin Atronach army just a thought away, smiles. It's time to start the tutorial. Whoosh! They don't go to Whiterun. They don't go to Dragon's Reach. They go to Riverwood, the place where this all truly began. The quiet, idyllic village where they met Fendal, their first and most thoroughly exploited companion. The town is just as they left it. Alva is hammering. The river is gurgling. They walk across the bridge, a dark, silent promise, and begin the long uphill trek. The path to Bleak Barrow is cold, snowy, and today, short. At the base of the ruin, a small camp. Bandits. The lookouts. The first enemies of this. The first dungeon. A bandit in fur armour steps out. That's close enough. Hand over your... Thum! The perfect bow makes a sound like a ballista. The bandit evaporates. He doesn't just die. He is consumed in a flash of fiery, soul-trapping energy, his entire being sucked into the bow's waiting gem. The Dragonborn lowers the bow. The other two bandits, who were just getting up to join their friend, just stare at the smoking ash pile where their leader used to be. Thoom! Thoom! The camp is clear. The Dragonborn walks past the smoking piles of dust and enters the barrow. The air is cold. It is a dead, ancient cold. The core in-game fact of Bleak Fall's barrow is that it's a tomb. This is a house of the dead. It is supposed to be scary. Cobwebs hang in the air. The light is dim. The Dragonborn, who has been to oblivion and back, metaphorically, and has 2 icy demons on speed dial, is not impressed. They move through the first room. They see the puzzle, the 3 rotating pillars. The solution is literally right above the gate. 2 pillars are on the ground, 1 has fallen. Snake, snake, whale. The Dragonborn, 100-level enchanter smith, solves the puzzle in 4 seconds, their muffling boots making no sound on the stone. They move deeper. They hear a voice. Help! Is someone there? Get me down, he's coming. It's Arvel the Swift, the thief who stole the golden claw from Lucan in Riverwood. He is trapped, cocooned in a massive spider's web, and then, from the darkness, a skittering. A wounded frostbite spider, the size of a carriage, descends from the ceiling. It is supposed to be a terrifying oh my gods moment of panic. The Dragonborn just holds out their hand. Growl! A frost Atronach, 10 feet tall, erupts from the stone floor, its icy spikes impaling the spider on the way up. The spider, a boss-level threat, is just dead. It is a shish kebab of chitin and ice. Arvel, who's hanging right next to this, just screams, You did it! Now get me down! The Dragonborn looks at Arvel. They look at their bow. They could cut him down, or... Thoom! The arrow hits Arvel. He too is just an ash pile. The Dragonborn calmly walks up, plucks the golden claw from the dust, and continues. Deeper. The Draugr. The ancient mummified Nords who guard the tomb. They lurch from their sarcophagi, their eyes glowing with a cold blue light, their ancient Nordic voices groaning. They are marching. Target practice. The Dragonborn doesn't even use the bow. It's too slow. They just cast Summon Frost Atronach and... walk. The sound of crunching ice and shattering 2,000-year-old bones echoes behind them. They are not clearing a dungeon. They are strolling. They reach the great claw door. The puzzle, how to open it. The Dragonborn, who has the perk of functioning eyes, just looks at the golden claw in their inventory. The solution, bear, moth, owl, is carved into the palm of the item. They rotate the rings, Krur, chunk. The massive stone door grinds open. They enter the final chamber. It is vast. A waterfall crashes into a misty pool, and at the far end, a wall, carved with runes. The runes are glowing. A low chanting hum fills the air. This is the obscure lore tidbit. This is a word wall. This is not just a spell. This is a piece of the dragon language etched into the tomb by the ancient Nords who worshipped the dragons. They were not writing a word, they were writing a concept. The wall, this sacred site, is dedicated to Fuse. Force. The Dragonborn approaches. The music swells. The chanting grows louder. Doom. 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 The runes flare. The world goes grey. The knowledge of the word first tears itself from the stone and slams into the Dragonborn soul. It is done. And then, a sound. The grinding of stone. The Draugr overlord. The boss of the tomb explodes from his central sarcophagus. His armour heavy, his enchanted weapon gleaming. He raises his axe and lets out a roar. Growl! A frost Atronach materialises directly on top of him, its icy fists already pounding. Growl! A second frost Atronach appears behind him. The Overlord is trapped. He is boxed in. He is panicked. He hasn't even seen the Dragonborn. Thome! The Overlord, who was supposed to be a 10-minute battle of skill and tactics, is now a pile of dust. A single, glowing, ancient Nord battle axe clattering to the floor. The fight took, by the Dragonborn's watch, 4 seconds. They are triumphant. They are bored. They walk over to the dust pile and loot it, and there it is, the Dragonstone, the item Farengar wanted. "Oh, right," the Dragonborn mutters, pocketing the heavy carved tablet. They have it. The shout. FUS. They do not have a dragon soul to unlock it, but they have the knowledge. They have completed their build. The journey is, for now, complete. The power is gathered. The Dragonborn stands on the mountain precipice outside the Barrow, the cold night air of Skyrim on their face. They look down, they can see the tiny warm lights of Riverwood, they can see the moonlit tundra of Whiterun Hold, a land they have by every conceivable metric already conquered. And so, our Dragonborn, this creature of pure, exploitative, wonderful power, can finally rest. They have become a god, all before the world has even truly learned their name. And just as the Dragonborn's frantic, obsessive, and frankly psychotic journey for power has reached its quiet end, so too can yours. Let the shadows of the tundra, the distant cold light of the moons, and the low rumbling hum of the word wall just fade. Let the darkness behind your eyes be a comfort, no longer a place to be filled with the clang of a forge or the shriek of a soul trap, but just a soft, heavy and quiet blanket. There are no more loops to run, there are no more chests to loot, there are no more cats to... well, there is just the quiet, just the darkness, and the gentle, easy drift into sleep.